So we're going to be looking at Christianity today, or an argument for Christianity, and the argument is basically that Jesus fits the description of the Messiah in the Old Testament, and these are the verses on screen which I've been presented with, the prophecies, and we will look at these. Um, and the argument goes like this: Jesus fits the description of the Messiah, and therefore Christianity is true. Basically, that's the argument. Someone might say I'm strawmanning the argument. I'm just really like giving it the bare bones of the argument. There is a premise of the argument, and that premise is that the Old Testament or the Jewish literature is true, right? Because if you're making an argument based off of Jewish prophecies, you presuppose that those prophecies are true and true in nature. So you know, there's a problem with the argument right off the right out of the beginning, because hey guys, our best historical knowledge indicates that yeah, this was not from God, right? But there's a counter to that, and there's a counter embedded in this argument to that, and that is to say, well, if the Jewish literature is just a bunch of nonsense that a bunch of random Jewish authors were writing, and they were just trying to cope with their situation and whatnot, how can Jesus possibly fit it? No one could possibly fit it. It's just too much of a coincidence. And therefore, by proving that Jesus does perfectly fit it, we kind of prove that the prophecies themselves are true as well. I mean, there is an argument there. I mean, some might criticize that kind of reasoning, but there is some logic there, right? Which I don't actually think is that bad logic, to be honest. But there's a assumption there as well. And what's the assumption? That Jesus really existed? Because someone could counter and say, wait, hold a second. Maybe Jesus was just a made-up character to fit the story, right? And that's that. Now, the counter to that would be to prove that Jesus did indeed exist, and then to say, hey, look, he existed. Once we establish he existed, and once we establish that he fits these prophecies, then it's a done deal. Become Christian, accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, and the job's done, right? I mean, there was a logic there. There is another subtler counter to that, and that is to say that actually, no, we can say Jesus existed, but maybe parts of the story are embellished, right, to make it fit better and whatnot. So right now, what we're going to do is we're just going to look at these verses or whatever we've been provided with, and just give our thoughts. I'm going in this blind, by the way. I've not actually looked at these things in depth ever, so these are just my thoughts. I mean, I don't think they'll be too positive though, because that's just the way I think this will go, right? Now, I should say something, but I forgot what I should say. Oh gosh, yeah. There's another point here that should be pointed out, is if we're looking at verses that a Christian has provided, then the issue is, what about the verses that they haven't provided, right? Because there might be verses that include prophecies towards the Messiah which they've not provided, maybe because Jesus doesn't fit them. I don't know. So there's that, right? And now I am not interested in that argument here. All I'm interested in is reading these prophecies on screen and whatnot. I do apologize if you hear pings from messages. And if I break, it's because I'm drinking my orange juice, I need to stay alive. And clearly, I sustain myself off of orange juice. Anyways, that was a 5-minute rant to just get into the introduction. So, we're going to look at Isaiah 53 first. And let me just put that on screen for you guys. There we are. So let us read, and this is going to be a pretty boring video because it's going to be a lot of reading and whatnot. It says, and because I'm going in this blind, I'm not already saying, oh well, this is a problem. We're going as, so it's going to be pretty boring, and it's probably going to be pretty long. Okay, who has believed our message, and to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? He grew up before him like a tender shoot, and like a root out of dry ground. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his presence, nothing in his appearance, excuse me, um, that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering and familiar with pain, like one from whom people hide their faces. He was despised and held in low esteem. Surely he took up our pain and bore our suffering. Yet we considered him punished by God, stricken by him, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquities. Sorry again. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his wounds we are healed. We all, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us has turned to our own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shears is silent, and so he did not open his mouth. By oppression and judgment he was taken away. Yet who of his generation protested? For he was cut off from the land of the living. For the transgressions of my people he was punished. He was assigned a grave with the wicked, and with the rich in his death, for he had done no violence, nor was any deceit in his mouth. Yet it was the Lord's will to crush him and cause him to suffer. And though the Lord makes his life an offering for sin, he will see his offspring and prolong his days. And the will of the Lord will prosper in his hand. After he has suffered, he will see the light of life and be satisfied. By his knowledge, my righteous servant will justify many, and he will bring their iniquities. Therefore I will give him a portion among the great, and he will divide the spoils with the strong, because he poured out his life unto death, and was numbered with transgressors, for he bore the sins of many, and made intercession for transgressors. So basically they're saying that Jesus fits this, and the main thing I think they will focus on is the idea that Jesus is rejected by his people. He is killed, he's wounded, and he suffers, and they will talk about him bearing the inequality, and they will understand that as bearing people's sins and whatnot. And they will use this verse, if we look back to our image, it says, suffering servant dies for the sins of all. Now the problem in this is, if we actually read it, which we just did, I don't actually see this, right? I do not see the logic that the suffering servant died for the sins of all. There is a notion that whoever this person is being discussed here died for someone's sins, but it doesn't. Okay, it's not clear to me, right, that he's dying for sins in the sense that he's washing away their sins, as in he's a sacrificial lamb, even though it does call him a lamb, which is a metaphor, obviously. It's not clear to me. And the other problem is, this is all in the past tense, right? Until it gets to talking about his offspring, which is a problem. Jesus doesn't have offspring. Maybe this is why Jesus does have offspring, according to the Islamic stuff. When he comes back, he's going to have offspring. And obviously the latter part of all of this, where he's made to prosper, doesn't happen. Also, one of the problems, if we are to apply this to Jesus, is, where does it say? He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. Jesus does open his mouth on the cross. So, again, this seems like a stretch to me. This does not seem definitive. This seems to be, the Jews talking about some dude who died because, they messed up essentially, and it was really a tragedy. And but don't worry, God's gonna um, make it all good, and it's our fault he died. This is what it really reads like to me. I mean, I'm not convinced. Anyways, let's look at the next one. Okay, Daniel 7:13. Ugh. One of the problems with what is it? Criticizing Christianity or Jesus as a messianic figure is that both the Muslims and the Jews accept Jesus as the Messiah, and therefore you're going against a lot of things. Obviously, the Muslims will have a problem with died for everyone's sins, but they would not have a problem with interpreting what we read from Isaiah in reference to Jesus. They would just reinterpret the died for our sins to mean, yeah, the dude, he died for our sins. He died because of our sins, not as a, um, you know, washing away of our sins or something, but, whatever. Anyways, um, let's go into that. There's another issue with criticizing Jesus as the Messiah, and that is the Jews don't really seem to do it much anymore because, they're in their, the Christians are our ally um, era, should we say, and yeah. So, it's just me. I'm joking. Obviously, there's other people who criticize. So this is Daniel 7:13 to 14. Let's read it. In my vision at night, I looked, and there before me was one like a son of man, coming with the clouds of heaven. He approached the Ancient of Days and was led into his presence. He was given authority, glory, and sovereign power. All nations and people of every language worshipped him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion that will not pass away, and his kingdom is one that will never be destroyed. So I'm guessing because they use this expression, Son of Man, um, you know, um, yeah, actually the footnote's interesting. The Aramaic phrase means human being. The phrase Son of Man is retained here because of its use in the New Testament as a title of Jesus, and probably based largely on this verse. That's interesting. I mean, it's probably why they use the title for Jesus. But again, I don't really see this. Um, did Jesus come with the clouds of heaven? You can say this is a dream. It's not literal, but it's like, it just seems like a stretch to me. He approached the Ancient of Days and was led into his presence. He was given authority. Jesus wasn't given authority. He wasn't given glory, and he wasn't given sovereign power. All nations and people of every language worshipped him? No, that did not happen with Jesus, right? Today, do people of many languages and many nations worship Jesus? Yeah, but, you know, it's a bit odd, to say this applies to Jesus. I just don't see it. His dominion is everlasting dominion. What dominion? Where's the dominion of Jesus? Unless you already believe he's the Son of God and everything is his, where's the dominion? I don't see his dominion. Um, that will not pass away. I mean, even if you want to reinterpret this and say, the dominion is the church. The church is the dominion. The church is on the decline. It's being destroyed. We're destroying it. Anyways, I don't think there's much else to say about that one. We're back to Isaiah. Oh gosh, Isaiah 7:14. We'll do that one first. But yeah, I mean, this kind of stuff is not exciting to me really because I'm going into this blind, so I don't know what these things say. Okay, let's read Isaiah. Oh no, we want. Yeah, we do want Isaiah 7:14. Okay, let's read. Therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and will call him Emmanuel. Okay, the problem with this is when it says the virgin, this is a Christian reading. It can be understood as young woman. So, and that's how the Jews understand it. you know, 7:14, the Jews put a young woman. Now, technically speaking, Jesus was born of a young woman as well. But I do believe one of the reasons why Christians get into this virgin birth thing is because of Jesus's questionable. It's questionable who Jesus' dad was, and that's an embarrassing thing about Jesus. So, why not just reinterpret something that says young woman and say it means virgin? Again, I don't see this. I don't see this. And Emmanuel, what's that? What's that got to do with anything? I mean, again, I don't see the argument there. I mean, again, and the fact is, and this is a big problem, is do we believe in a virgin birth? Do I believe that Jesus was given a virgin birth? No, absolutely not. There's just no evidence for it. And that's a bit of a problem. Right. So let's look at Isaiah 9:6 now. I don't know, like, for me, none of this is really anything. It's just vague statements and, interpreting these vague statements and then saying, see, Jesus. It's just, I don't know. Anyways, here's Isaiah 9:6. For us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. What does that have to do with a virgin birth? Okay, divine child, that's what they're saying. They're trying to say that, this shows that, I'm guessing, again, I apologize, I have to have my orange juice. This shows that they have this idea of a divine child, and Jesus is a divine child. I mean, I don't know the rest of the context, whether this is praiseworthy or blameworthy, I don't really care. But the bottom line of it is the government was not on the shoulders of Jesus. I mean, the idea that someone in the Old Testament thought that someone was going to have a kid that's actually God is therefore Jesus because you believe he's God is a bit weird to me. I mean, I'm just saying, bit weird. Again, this is not convincing, and this is a problem. The argument for this, as I said before, is prefaced on the Jewish literature being true, and the only way you get out of that is to say that Jesus so perfectly fits this stuff that there is there's just too many coincidences for it to just all be nonsense and for Jesus to also have existed. Now, the problem with that is all I have to show is that Jesus doesn't perfectly fit this, or that this is just vague stuff. And then, that argument doesn't work, and then you have to prove the Old Testament is true. And then you have to also still prove that these interpretations apply to Jesus, which, the Jews clearly disagree with. Okay. Let's go to Isaiah 11. Fun stuff. This is a long one. We're going to be reading again. How fun. It's not fun, is it? What is it? Messiah will be the seed of David. Yeah, okay, I know this. Okay. Oh, look at how they've titled it, right? Interesting. Anyways, a shoot will come up from the stump of, is that Jesse? Jesse? From his roots, a branch will bear fruit. The Spirit of the Lord will rest on him. The Spirit of wisdom and of understanding, the Spirit of counsel and of might, the Spirit of the knowledge and fear of the Lord. And he will delight in the fear of the Lord. I just want to just say something. Here we have the spirit of counsel and of might. This depicts someone who's going to be mighty. Whereas the other stuff we are reading about Jesus being a lamb is a bit like, is he really mighty? You can say this is, his second coming, but That's just like a cop out, isn't it? Like, gosh. But let's carry on reading. He will not judge by what he sees in his eyes, or decide by what he hears with his ears, but with righteousness he will judge the needy. With justice he will give decisions for the poor of the earth. He will strike the earth with the rod of his mouth, with the breath of his lips. He will slay the wicked. Righteousness will be his belt, and faithfulness the sash around his waist. I just want to say, this does not fit Jesus. I mean, who was he slaying? Who was he killing? I mean, I want to know. I mean, I like killing. It's something I derive great joy from. I want to see Jesus kill people, but he's not. I mean, I want him to come down from the heavens tomorrow and kill people. I'd have a great joy watching it happen. I mean, as long as he doesn't kill me. It probably fits Muhammad better. I'm just saying. Don't get upset. I mean, gosh. I mean, you could argue it fits Bibi Netanyahu better, because at least from their perspective, when he's butchering the children of Gaza, he's saying, they're wicked. You can see the problem. Anyways, let's go. Carry on. The wolf will live with the lamb. Very interesting. Actually, no, let me finish reading this. The wolf will live with the lamb. The leopard will lie down with the goat. The calf and the lion and the yearling together, and a little child will lead them. The cow will feed with the bear. Their young will lie down together. And the lion will eat straw like the ox. The infant will play near the cobra's den. And the young child will put its hand into the viper's nest. They will neither harm nor destroy on all my holy mountain. For the earth will be filled with knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover. See, clearly this can't apply to anyone right now because none of this has happened, right? In the day the root of Jesse will stand as a banner for the people. The nations will rally up to him, and his resting place will be glorious. In the day the Lord will reach out his hand, and a second time to reclaim the surviving remnant of his people from Assyria, from Lower Egypt, from Upper Egypt, from Cush, from Elam, from Babylonia, from Hamath, and from the islands of the Mediterranean. I just want to interject here, right? His people, who are the people of the Lord in the Tanakh, they are the Jews, right? So, doesn't this clash with like Christian dogma that the Jews are no longer God's people, right? This is clearly talking about, the Jews who have been scattered, right? And they'll be back, and it'll be good and whatnot. And you can't say, no, this was talking before they broke the covenant, or this was talking before they didn't accept Jesus. Because the problem is, you're saying that these events, because they've not happened, they're going to happen in the future, right? You're saying that they apply to Jesus. So how does this work if they're not his people anymore, right? See the problem here? But let's carry on. He will rise a banner for the nations and gather the exiles of Israel. See what I said? I didn't even have to read it. Oh gosh. He will assemble the scattered people of Judea from the four quarters of the earth. I'm just saying the Zionists did this. But obviously, I do want to point this out. Is none of this has actually happened in a real sense. None of this whole the cobra and the child and whatnot. Funnily enough, even in Islamic eschatology, this is what happens after Jesus comes back. Very interesting. Ephraim's jealousy will vanish, and Judea's enemies will be destroyed. Ephraim will not be jealous of Judah, nor Judah hostile towards Ephraim. Okay, very interesting. So the enemies of the Jews are destroyed. Very interesting. They will swoop down on the slopes of Philistia to the west. Together they will plunder the people to the east. I thought there was no killing. Why are we plundering people to the east? Ah, I'm sad. They will subdue Edom and Moab, and the Ammonites will be subject to them. Okay, so this is actually a really good counter to, you know, uh, even Judaism. And that is that these prophecies mention people who don't exist anymore, right? And the obviously when they were written down by people who have these enemies, and they have these enemies, and um, they are worried about these enemies, so they invent a prophecy that don't worry, when the Messiah comes, we'll be done with these enemies. When we have these problems with, violence or whatnot, don't worry, when the Messiah comes, that won't happen. The child and the cobra, it'll all be good. No cobras eating your babies anymore. How fun, right? But obviously, we're gonna still go and defeat our enemies, of course, because that's fine, right? Um, but the problem is these enemies don't exist anymore, so you have to reinterpret who these enemies are. Right? And this problem exists even in, let's say, Islam, for example, when the Islamic eschatological texts talk about Rome, which is the Byzantine Empire, and the Byzantine Empire doesn't exist. What does that mean? It means it's not true. It means the prophecy didn't happen. The fact that none of this has happened falsifies the religion. It falsifies Judaism. It falsifies Christianity. Islam wouldn't be falsified technically by this stuff because they'll say, I know, it's all fabricated. It's all not true. What on earth? I was going to read that message I got, but gosh, I'm glad that you guys can't see that message. No, don't. 1 second. Don't you dare do that. What on earth did I just read? But this is the point I'm making. Gosh, I'm gonna have to pause this and come back because this person needs a beating. Oh gosh. Okay, so we are back for now until I get another reply. Okay, but this is the point I'm making. If you have a prophecy that specifies a historical group that no longer exists, and the events in the prophecy haven't happened, then clearly the prophecy is not true, and clearly the religion is false. The way you wiggle out of this is by saying, actually, no, no. The people actually refers to these new people, and it gets kind of ridiculous. But let us carry on. I can't remember where we picked off from. I think it was, and the Ammonites will be subject to them. Again, Ammonites don't exist. The Lord will dry up the gulf of the Egyptian Sea. Interesting. With a scorching wind, he will sweep his hand over Euphrates River. He will break it up into 7 streams so that anyone can cross over in sandals. They're wearing sandals as well. Isn't that interesting? They're wearing sandals. I mean, people still wear sandals. I mean, let's be fair. I wore sandals, once. When was the last time I wore sandals? I did wear sandals one day because I couldn't be bothered putting on my shoes. And, it's not... But people do wear sandals, so we'll give it to them. There will be a highway for the remnant of his people, the Jews, that is left from Assyria. I mean, the Jews are still his people. Interesting. I mean, we've already mentioned this. And there was for Israel when they came up from Egypt. Where the fuck is David in this? Right, Messiah will be seed of David. Okay, so he says, I'm guessing branch of Jesse or whatever. It's something to do with David. Again, this is irrelevant, right? This makes no sense. I mean, I just want to emphasize this, right? In Jewish law, yeah, it's true. The Mashiach is from the descendants of David, right? But the problem is Jesus cannot possibly be a descendant of David Because he doesn't have a dad according to these people, right? You could say it's maybe through the mother. By the way, I believe what the Christians do. Let me try to find this Jesus lineage to David. Okay. There are contradictory lineages, which is telling. But we'll just go on to the Wikipedia. Okay. Oh, my cousin just turned. He thinks he's old enough to sell his kidneys to me. Brilliant. Okay, so this is really interesting. Okay, now I'm just gonna put this on screen, right? So this is the lineage according to Matthew. It goes from Joseph and Mary. Interesting. No. Where's the lineage? Where's the lineage? Jesus, Joseph. Joseph is not his dad, though. Like, I thought he wasn't his dad. Like, how does that work? Where's the other one? There's two. Can we get the other one? Okay, you're trying to go back to David that way, but you can see the problem. Oh god. By the way, I'm sure they have two contradictory ones. I can't be bothered doing this. I don't have Facebook. Okay. I just can't be bothered with that right now. But again, like, even if you say that he is a descendant of David, there's a gazillion descendants of David, and none of this stuff in the prophecy has happened, guys. And by any ways, it falsifies the religion unless you start reinterpreting who these groups of people are. You start saying, well, actually, no, the Jews still are the people of God. But then it's like, well, I thought they weren't the people of God because they reject Jesus. And it's like, shit, what the frick are we doing? Who knows? No, it means there's still the people of God, and they'll still be returned to this place, and it'll be all fair and dandy, but they're also condemned to hell because they reject the Lord and Savior Jesus. It's a bit weird to me. Anyways, we're not even that far down. Isaiah 49:6. Let's do this. Okay, so yeah, 49:6 Isaiah. He says, "Is it too small a thing for you to be my servant to restore the tribes of Jacob and bring back those of Israel I have kept? I will also make you a light for the Gentiles, and that my salvation may reach to the ends of the earth." So the argument is, look, this guy, he sent to both the Gentiles and the Jews. Now, one of the problems with this is Jesus apparently is like, I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel. So like, come on. Now you can reinterpret these. You can say no. What he means in this bit, he means something, but he's also sent to the Gentiles and blah blah blah. But again, I'm not sure how this works because, I'll give an example. I'll give an example of this. I have a friend, right? She is a Jew, right? I don't know what her lineage is in terms of what thingy. Let's just assume that she's from the descendants of David, right? Let's just assume. I mean, her lineage probably be better than what the stuff we have for Jesus, as we've already discussed. And she is a terrorist. No, it's true. It's true. She's a terrorist. You can Google her, Atara, right? Now, she, is focused on Jews, but you could say, well, she's a light unto the Gentiles because, she has a bunch of simpy non-Jews following her. So, see, logic, she's the Messiah. It's ridiculous, right? It's not really a good argument, and and I can almost envision that if you read the whole chapter, it's not really that much about Jesus specifically, or the Messiah specifically, should I say. I just accidentally called Jesus the Messiah. Oopsie daisy. Truth's coming out of me, isn't it? Even Even sometimes the devil speaks the truth, right? I'm joking, I'm joking, I'm joking, I'm joking. Listen to me. You are hear this, you distant nations. Before I was born, the Lord called me from my mother's womb. He spoke my name. He made my wife. Okay, this guy is speaking the first one. And now the Lord says he has formed and wounded his servant to bring Jacob back to him and gather Israel to him for me. I honored. Well, again, like, if you read it all, how is this in reference to Jesus? Nigga, what? Did I just say the N word? Shit. Um, it's fine. Hopefully this does not get flagged. If it does, we'll just have to remove that. Oh gosh. What? And now the Lord says he has formed me in the womb of his servant. Bring back James, gather Israel for me. Honor in the eyes of the Lord. It is too small a thing that you be my say. He's again, like, I'm just confused. I'm just confused. I'm just confused. How does this have anything to do with Jesus or even the Messiah at this point? Oh, for hell. Whatever. I hope saying that word does not think. I hope I said it too quickly. I apologize. I'm a bad boy. I'm sorry. Freedom of speech, you see. Freedom to insult. Okay. So 49.6 was practically worthless. Let's do this Jeremiah 31, 31, 34. Oh no, I'm a bit retarded. I almost missed one. How could I? 23, 5 to 6. Let's do that. Okay, this one might actually be better prophecy because it's actually in the future. Okay. Come on, let's get rid of that. Okay. The days are coming, declared the Lord, when I will raise up for David a righteous branch, a king who will reign wisely and do what is just and right in the land. That's great. That's great. That's talking about the Messiah. We know this. These guys have put as Messiah saves Israel. I didn't really read that into that verse, but oh, we've not got 6. Oopsie daisy. Let's get 6 as well. I do apologize. Where is 6? Okay, there it is. There's 6. In his day, Judah will be saved, and Israel will be saved. Will live in safety. This is the name by which he will be called, the Lord our righteous Savior. I'm sorry. Like, the Jews have not been safe. I mean, BB's fitting this far better than Jesus. It's just silly. It's just absolutely silly. How is this a proof for anything? How does Jesus fit this? And I know we're kind of repugnant at this point. I mean, you should have used this one to say from the seed of David. I think it would have just we would have just skipped like one of these verses. Like, I mean, okay, maybe we want to have more verses because then it looks more compelling. I don't know. I don't know what goes through the mind of the ones who worship a man. I don't know, but where were we? So that's not compelling at all. Let's do 31, 33 too. Okay, I'm gonna actually put it in like this. I hope I don't start getting ads for like single Christian men again. You know, when you read too much of this stuff, sometimes that happens. It's true story, true story. When I was 15, I used to get ads, like, and they were advertising me, not even women, they were advertising me men. They thought I was a woman, a Christian woman looking for a bald Christian man. Like, come on. If I was a woman, that's not what I would be into, not bald men. That's, I like a I like my men with hair. What the frick? Oh gosh, I'm joking. I mean, I think guys with hair look better than guys without hair. I think that's not controversial, is it? Ooh, did I make the screen too big this time? Maybe I did. The days are coming, declared the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the people of Israel and with the people of Judah. It will not be like the covenant I made with their ancestors when I took them by the hand to lead them out of Egypt, because they broke my covenant, though I was husband to them, declares the Lord. This is the covenant I will make with the people of Israel after that time, declares the Lord. I will put my law in their minds and write it on their hearts. I will be their God, and they will be my people. No longer will they teach their neighbor or say to one another, know your Lord, because they will all know me. From the least of them, I can't read, can I? From the least of them to the greatest, declares the Lord. For I will forgive their wickedness and will remember their sins no more. I'm sorry, but this does not work. I mean, if your argument is that this says that there'll be a new covenant and the old covenant will be gone, fair enough. But read what it says, right? This does not indicate Jesus in any way, shape, or form. You can say, this is like some Muslim coming along and saying, well, there's a new covenant with Islam. You see, we have a new Sharia. Hey, look, this is a proof. Hey, this is what it was talking about. But this is so specific to Jews, right? You know, the people of Israel, the people of Judah, right? Put my law in their minds and will write it in their hearts. Whose hearts? The Jews. Whose minds? The Jews. Who will be their God? Whose God is it? The Jews' God. They will be my people. Who will be his people? The Jews. This is not in conformity with Christianity. I'm sorry, it's just not. No longer will they teach their neighbor or say to one another, know the Lord, because they will all know me. But you're saying that the Jews rejected Jesus, and you're saying Jesus is the Lord. This is a contradiction, right? This is silly. For I will forgive their wickedness, and I will remember their sins no more. So God can forgive wickedness. And interesting. I mean, I thought we needed a blood sacrifice, guys. Obviously, I'm joking. I know that you don't actually need a blood sacrifice, but I'm just saying, like, how do you fit this? This is getting ridiculous. I mean, I'm ashamed of myself for even spending this much time reading. I'm gonna take a sip from my orange juice and think about what I'm doing with my life. But no, I'm not saying this to be mean. I'm not saying this to be rude. I'm just trying to make a point here. How is this convincing? I'm confused. Like, I don't get it. Like, I was expecting better stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, if anything, it's just like, does anyone even read critically at all? I mean, I don't know. You know. Anyways, let's read this. Micah 5:2. Is it just 5:2? Yeah. I mean, you can argue. Okay, I will give him that. You can say that Jeremiah 31, 31, 34 shows a new covenant, but it gets tricky when you're trying to align that with Jesus. That is the tricky bit, and that's what we're trying to do here. We're not just trying to say, in isolation, yes, you can use this. You have to take the whole picture to make the narrative make sense. You know, like when you're watching Harry Potter, it all has to make sense. All of the Harry Potter narrative has to make sense in the Harry Potter universe. Right now, we have this story which is not making sense in the Harry Potter universe anymore. We just have contradictions. It's like those weird videos I'd get of the Harry Potter where, you know, it's a joke, and I'm not going into those videos. Were funny though. Okay, let's read. But you, Bethlehem, I can't read that word. How do I pronounce it? Let's read.
Micah 5.
Oh God.
Marshal your troops now, city of troops. For a siege is...
No, I want to just read this bit. I don't know how to say this word. How do I say this word? 1 second. Look, see, I clearly don't understand English. I mean, no. No, but how do I pronounce it? How do I pronounce it? Rufa? I mean, who speaks like this these days? Come on. Let's I do apologize, but I told you this.
You are looking at Julian's pronunciation guide, where we look at how to pronounce
Oh gosh, I don't want to hear Julian tell me that I'm looking at his guide.
Let's learn how to pronounce these biblical names. From more pronunciations from the Bible, make sure to state from the Bible here. So stay tuned from Hebrew the pronunciation is as Ephrathah.
Okay, Ephrathah. That's good enough. He didn't have to go on that tangent, did he? I apologize, hopefully. Um, Bethlehem Ephrathah. Right, brilliant. But you, Bethlehem Ephrathah, though you are small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come for me one who will be ruler over Israel, whose origins are from of old, from ancient times. Nice. What was that meant to prove? Messiah will be from Bethlehem. I just want to like hit my I just face palming like I'm sorry, but this is silly. This is silly. Okay, okay. He's from Bethlehem. I mean, if you take it's serious about Jesus is actually from Bethlehem. Again, remember when I said at the beginning, you can embellish the story, right? What if we don't actually know where Jesus was born, even if we accept that he was what existed, um, but I thought it was Jesus of Nazareth. I mean, I don't know. He's from Bethlehem, apparently. That's the nativity story we all told as children, right? Does everyone remember that story? So weird. Um, but he didn't rule over Israel, right? This is the problem. This is the problem. Like, even if you accept this, I can go to Bethlehem right now. I can find a random Jew, and I can find him from the house of David, and by the logic that we've seen so far, I could declare him Messiah, even if he's not done it. I just have to beat him with a stick a few times, and get the Jews to reject him, which I could do. By the way, I could do this. I could speak to him. They'll reject him if he starts claiming to be the Messiah. They always do. That's what Jews like to do. They like to reject messianic. I mean, they do accept some. I mean, the fact that Jesus didn't have that many followers is actually pretty interesting. But yeah. That was not exciting. Every second I'm getting more and more convinced that Jesus is not the Messiah. Not that I believe in a Messiah, but if he is, I'm retarded, or this is a really retarded way of making a point, I guess. Okay, Zechariah 12:10. Oh gosh. Let's read this. The thing is, like, I've never read these verses before. Like, what the frick? Okay, it's just 12:10, right? Yeah. And I will pour out on the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem a spirit of grace and supplication. They will look on me, the one they have pierced, and will mourn for him as one mourns for an only child, and grieve bitterly for him as one grieves for a firstborn son. That, you know what? I'll say you could probably apply this one to Jesus. I mean, if you really wanted to. I mean, they will look on me, but one they have pierced. I will mourn for him. The problem, okay, this is the problem here, is the grammar is a bit of a problem. Now, someone could say, you're looking at translations, blah, 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 but look at this, right? We can highlight, right? I applaud David and heaven of Jerusalem my spirit, a grace and supplication. They will look on me. So, me. Let's make that. You don't let me highlight how. Oh, you do. Me. The one they have pierced. So who have they pierced? Right? Me. Right? Don't carry on doing that. You're pissing me off. And they will mourn for him. Him. Me, him. Me, him. Like, am I like retarded, or like, who are they pierced and who are they mourning? The mourning, the person they've pierced, they're looking upon me, the speaker, the one they've pierced, but they're mourning him. Unless the grammar is just a messy. I don't know. I mean, we could try getting the Hebrew, but I'll have to consult my friends who speak Hebrew on that. But again, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Jerusalem's enemies be destroyed. A prophecy of the Lord is coming to Israel. Morning, one they pierced. Yeah, the one they pierced, but the one they... No, it's not mourning me, the one I have pierced. They will mourn for him, but more for his own child. On the day of weeping in Jerusalem will be as great as the weeping. This didn't happen though. On that day, the weeping in Jerusalem will be as great as the... This did not happen. I thought the Jews rejected him. Like it just gets worse. When you start reading more, it gets worse. Like, the land will mourn, each clan by itself, with their wives by themselves. The clan of the house of David and their wives. The clan of the house of Nathan and their wives. The clan of the house of Levi and their wives. The clan... This did not happen. This did not happen. You know, I feel deceived. I feel like I've been lied to. 1 second, let me just reply to my cousin. Just reminding you. Okay. But yeah, this did not happen. Like, did any of this happen? Did any of this happen? Like, guys, don't come to me and tell me the Lord pierced. Right? Okay, yeah, you know what? You got me. The Lord was pierced because it's the Lord speaking, isn't it? Right? It's when it says pierced me, it's the Lord speaking, right? And when it's saying they mourn him, it's mourning whoever this dude the Lord has chosen or whatever, right? But there's a separation. But you can say it's actually one that was his human nature and one. Okay, fair enough. But even by that logic, let's just ignore the me and him and these being two separate people and two separate entities. Let's ignore that. Let's say that's just me being like a retardedly autistic. Let's just say I'm retardedly autistic. When did this happen? On that day. This is cheating. This is not fair. This is not fair to me. This is insulting my intelligence. This is like when a chick comes up to you and she says, you know, she gives you her story and she tells you, no, you know, blah 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 blah, and she's lying. This is what they do, right? And then when you catch them out in the lie, they say, no. Technically, it's like, yeah, come on, this is selective. Like, this is silly. You know, but at least the chicks aren't lying about salvation. This is crafty. Oh gosh, what were we looking at? Oh gosh. Okay, let's go to Psalm 22. Okay, Psalms 22. Oh, this is a big one. What does it say? Jesus quotes this on the cross. What does he quote on the cross? That he's pierced. Okay, let's see. Let's read. Okay, so this is a New Testament. This is not really a prophecy. He's trying... The argument here is that Jesus in the New Testament fulfills this. Okay, let's read it. Let's do it. My God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me, so far from my cries of anguish? My God, I cry out by day, but you do not answer. By night, but I find no rest. Okay, just one problem. Do we remember that other bit where one of these other ones, I can't remember which one, where it said that he will bear the iniquities of everyone, but he won't open his mouth? What the frickety frack is this? What the frickety frack is this, guys? He's opening his mouth. I told you he was opening his mouth. I told you. And then you're going to say, no, he's not opening his mouth. And he wasn't complaining to people. He's complaining to God. But he is God, according to you. It's a bit weird, you know. I'm just saying. I am just saying. This is not perfectly fitting. It's a shoe that you can force your foot into. Yeah, but it's not perfect. And, yeah, but let's carry on. Yet you are enthroned as the Holy One. You are the one Israel praises. In you our ancestors put their trust. They trusted and you delivered them. To you they cried out. and were saved. In you they trusted and were not put to shame. I thought Jesus was God. Okay. This is a cheap. Like I'm kind of like straw manning a bit, but it is a bit odd. I'm gonna be fair. It's like it's not. Technically speaking, they were putting their trust in Jesus. Why is he, And he's saying this to teach people, obviously, of course. But let's carry on. But I am a worm and not a man. Oh gosh, that's blasphemy. That is. Calling Jesus a worm is kind of blasphemous, I would think. But I don't mind calling him a worm. Scorned by everyone, despised by the people. All who see me mock me and hurl insults, shaking their heads. He trusts in the Lord, they say. In the Lord rescue him. Let him deliver him, since he delights in him. Okay, so this is where you can get that other one where, he's rejected and whatnot. Okay, that's nice. You brought me out of the womb. You made me trust in you. Even at my mother's breast, from birth I was cast on you. From my mother's womb you have been my God. Do not be far from me, for trouble is near, and there is no one to help. Many bulls surround me, strong bulls of Bashan encircle me, roaring lions that tear their prey. Open their mouth wide against me. I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart has turned to wax. It has melted within me. My Lord, not my Lord, my mouth is dried up like potsherd, and my tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth outside. And you lay me in the dust of death. I mean, it's a big speech to say his mouth is like all like not having a nice time. Dogs surround me. A pack of villains encircle me. They pierce me. Okay, so this is the point. He's been pierced. My hands and my feet, all my bones are on display. People stare and gloat over me. They divide my clothes among them and cast lots for my garment. But you, Lord, do not be far from me. You are my strength. Come quickly to help me. Deliver me from the sword, my precious life from the power of the dogs. Rescue me from the mouth of the lions. Save me from the horns of the wild oxen. I will declare your name to my people. Who are his people? The Jews. Right, let's just carry on. In the assembly I will praise you. You who fear the Lord, praise him. All you descendants of Jacob, honor him. Revere him, all you descendants of Israel. For he has not despised or scorned the suffering of the afflicted one. He has not hidden his face from him, but has listened to his cry for help. Actually, it's a very nice supplication, by the way. It's very moving. From you comes the theme of my praise in the great assembly. Is this the Mala al-A'la? But we find in the Quran? I'm joking, I'm sorry. Before those who fear you, I will fulfill my vows. The poor will eat and be satisfied. Those who seek the Lord will praise him. May your hearts live forever. All the end of the earth will remember and turn to the Lord, and all the families of the nations will bow down before him, for dominion belongs to the Lord, and he rules over the nations. As an absent ruler, though, let's not forget that. That's just me being a bit a prick. All the rich of the earth will feast and worship. All who go down to the dust will kneel before him. Those who cannot keep themselves alive, posterity, will serve him. Future generations will be told about the Lord. They will proclaim his righteousness, declare to a people yet unborn. He has done it. Okay, I'm sorry, but what the frick was that? Like, for one, right, and I do want to point this out here, right, no one dying on a cross makes such long supplications. I'm sorry. This is... Okay, someone can say, I know, but this is a special man. Okay. But secondly, Okay, he said he was pierced. Therefore, the thing where is it? Because this is what he says. Jesus quotes this on the cross, Zechariah 12:10. He quotes he's pierced, that he's been pierced. Okay, right? But as we read in Zechariah, the Jerusalem, everyone's weeping. No one's weeping. No one's weeping about this. I mean, even in this whole tangent, my man's saying that people are essentially laughing at him, essentially, and mocking him. I mean, you can say that links back to another thing, but like I said, this is gonna go on forever, isn't it? I mean, I've been yapping for so long, and we're still not there. Like, but no one can say I did not give him a chance. Let's go on to 110 now. No one can say, you didn't read these things, you know, blah blah blah. I do read them. I read everything. Eventually, I was upset. I was upset over the last few days, so I didn't have time to read it. I was forsaken, but not by the Lord, but by one of His weak creatures. Ah, so sad. But unlike the Lord, the creature does actually answer and reply to me. How interesting, how interesting. But my God, the God of Israel, answers me. What the fuck? Like, this is the kind of thing that people find, like, moving. I don't know. I mean, I get it. It can be moving, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Let's read this 110. There's so much reading. I'm so sad. I'd much rather read about how to enslave cute chicks. So sad. Someone's gonna point out, like, no one's gonna even get this far. Like, they're not gonna read this. They're not gonna get this far. No one has the patience. The Lord says to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool at your feet for your feet. The Lord will extend your mighty scepter from Zion, saying, rule in the midst of your enemies. Your troops will be willing on your day of battle, arrayed in holy splendor. Your young men will come to you like dew from the morning's womb. The Lord has sworn and will not change His mind. You are priests forever in the order of I can't read that. Whatever that is. The Lord is at your right hand. He will crush kings on the day of His wrath. He will judge the nations, heaping up the dead and crushing the rulers of the whole earth. He will drink from the brook. When the frick did this happen? It's not happened, man. You can't say things that haven't happened. Thingy. Like, what is your argument? The Lord says to my Lord. That's your argument? The Lord says to my Lord. Gosh. What is a word used in the Hebrew? Why don't you let me read the Hebrew? I don't want to learn more. I want to see the Hebrew. 1 second. Let me try getting this up. Because that's actually kind of okay, here it is. Right, that's kind of annoying. So here it is. It says I don't understand Hebrew, so this might be a bit of a problem. I'm going to try to quickly learn Hebrew. Give me 5 seconds. I think I can. What's the word we're using for Lord? I just want to know what word we're using for Lord. That's it. Okay, so we went and we learnt Hebrew because we're so talented. Right. Now, what is the problem here? So, they actually use 2 separate words for Lord. So this is the first term they use. If you Control F, it's this term here, right? Lord. Every time they're using Lord for God, they're using this one. But what's also translated as Lord here is this term, Adoni. right? I believe that's how you say it, right? There we are. I mean, it's used here as well. Thy right hand of crushed kings. Interesting. But the point is, they are separate words, and the problem with this word here is it can be used for other than God. It's not a word that's exclusive. You know, I mean, I think there is actually, no, these are different. These two are different because this has the diacritical mark underneath. So that's another. Okay, yeah, this is important, right? So this is Adoni, and this is Adonai, right? This is Adonai. This is Adoni, right? And this is usually used for God, right? This one is not, but the way the argument is being framed over here, the Lord says to my Lord. I'm guessing it's trying to argue that Jesus is like God. It's just, I don't. I mean, it's deceptive at best. Like, look, I just learned Hebrew in like 5 seconds. Like, can we appreciate this? Can we appreciate how my IQ is just? I'm messing with you. I didn't learn Hebrew that fast. But come on, guys. This is a joke. This is not like, even if you read it the way they want you to read it, it doesn't even prove anything. Like, I'm so sad. I was looking forward to becoming a Christian. I was actually like, I was thinking, I'm gonna go to mass, I'm gonna go to church, maybe I'll message the Christian chick who's clearly kind of crazy, but maybe I could have messaged her, I could have said to her, hi there. I can't say her name. Her name is just hard for me to say. Hi there, you want to get married now? She's probably, I don't know if she'd say yeah, no. I mean, I remember, right, she took me to mass, right, last year, it was like a year and a month ago, to be precise. She takes me to mass. I think it was 22nd or 21st of April, sometime in the end of April. She takes me to mass. We go to mass. It was pretty boring for me. And then we go out. And then what do we do after that? We went to a park. I mean, there was a fox. I remember a fox. You tried to be friends with the fox. And then after that, we went back to the hotel room. Oh gosh. Don't worry, she was on her period. Nothing happened. Well, something happened, but nothing what you're thinking. She was on her period, and then I saw her the next day. She was like, do you want to come to mass again? I'm like, no. And then she came back into the hotel room, and again, she's still on her period, guys. Don't get too excited. I don't know why I'm just sharing this random detail about my life. but that's what you're gonna find when you marry your Catholic chicks. Oh gosh. Catholics scare me. She was nice sometimes, but she's clearly had problems as well. She wasn't the nicest, I don't think. I mean, I just think religious girls in general are not too nice. I say that, but some of them are okay. I mean, but I don't know. I mean, they're not. They have a different way of seeing the world. Anyways, where was I? I mean, we just went a tangent about me talking about mass and how I wanted to become Christian. No, but this is okay. Right, there is a punchline to that story. Since we've gone on a tangent, since this video is so long, I'm gonna make it fun for me, right? Right. So I remember, right? I was in a park with her after I left the hotel. I was making out with her in the park. It's a true story, by the way. True story. And I said to her, oh, why don't we, date and whatnot? And she's like, no. Remember, I'm making out with her. I want you to think about this. And there was more than just making out in the hotel room, I'm just saying. But and she's like, no. And I'm like, okay, why? And she's like, well, I'm like, I think I said, is it because I'm not Catholic? She says, no, I could date someone who's not Catholic if they were interested in converting. I was like, I'm interested. I'm open to it. And she's like, no, you're not. And it's true, I wasn't, and I'm still not. But. Well, I'm open. I'm considering. I'm considering what people are saying. Oh gosh, I don't know. I think all the girls who fumble with me have messed up in life. You know, it's true. It's true. I remember I was talking to one of my friends, right? And she's a nice girl. Um, you know, and she was pointing this out. She's like, you're just so amazing. I shouldn't say this because, like, the problem is when I say, when I talk about girls thingy, the other girls are like, oh my gosh, why are you friends with these girls? Oh my gosh, it's not just a friendship, is it? Well, it is, but you don't understand. You don't understand. But yeah, you fumble with me, you fumbled in life. Anyways, that was like a 6-minute tangent about me talking about why I'm so upset that none of this is true. What were we reading? We were reading 110, weren't we? Let's go to Malach 3. Okay, we're looking at multiple things. Let's find this Malachi 3 stuff. Malachi. Okay, I mean, I hope the people over at Scotland Yard don't think I'm becoming Christian. I mean, that'd be very upsetting to me. It's so long. I'm so sad, but we will read it. Let's get it. Let's give it a go. Oopsie daisy. Let's get this in focus. Okie dokie. Let's read. Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me. And the Lord... Is this like in the Old or New Testament? I don't even know. See, this is how ignorant I am of this stuff. Before me. And the Lord whom ye seek shall suddenly come to this temple. Even the messenger of a covenant whom ye delight in, behold, he shall come, saith the Lord of hosts, but who may abide the day of his coming, and who shall stand when he appeareth? For he is like a refiner, fire like full of soap, and he shall sit as a refiner, purifier of silver, and shall purify the sons of Levi, and purge them as gold and silver, and they may offer unto the Lord an offering in righteousness. I don't know if Jesus did purify the sons of Levi, but okay. Then shall the offering of Judea and Jerusalem be pleasant unto the Lord, as in the days of old, and as in former years. This didn't happen. And I will come near to you to judgment, and I will be swift witness against the sorcerers, and against the adulterers, and against false swearers, and against that oppress the hirelings of his wage, the widow, and the fatherless, and that turn aside the stronger from his right, the stranger, I can't read, I'm sorry, stranger from his right, and fear not me, saith the Lord of hosts, for I am the Lord, I change not. Interesting. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. Oh. I thought the Lord was changing a bit, but okay, I'm messing. Let's carry on. Even from the days of your fathers, ye are gone away from mine ordinance, and have not kept them. Return unto me, and I will return unto you, saith the Lord of hosts. But ye said, wherein shall we return? Will a mob rob God? Yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? Oh gosh. Okay, can I just skim this? Yet we are cursed with curse the whole nation. Bring ye all to us the storehouse. Okay, blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. And all nations shall call you blessed, for ye shall be delight. Isn't this talking to like the Jews? No one's calling the Jews blessed after Jesus. Let's just say that. And a word have been against the Lord. And even his name is probably okay. Walked. I'm not sure what the argument is, and I do apologize for not reading every word. I just got really bored of this. Okay, so what is their argument? Who wrote this book, by the way? Is it? I'm sure this is a New Testament book. The Book of Mark is okay. No, it's not. It's not interesting. It's one of the last books of the Nevi'im. Interesting. Interesting. But I'm not sure what the argument here is. Right? Are you? I think. Okay. No. I think I know what they're going to try to argue. They're going to argue from John the from 43. Where did it say John the Baptist prepares the way for the Lord? Okay. So. Okay. So maybe I missed something, but I'm guessing what they're trying to argue is that somewhere in here someone is preparing the way of the Lord. And he shall prepare the way before me, and the Lord whom ye seek shall suddenly come in the temple. Okay, so and they're applying that to John the Baptist. So they're saying that John the Baptist is preparing the... Okay, I've understood their logic. I'm not convinced by their logic. It seems like silly. I'm just being honest and frank. But let's see what Isaiah 43 says. Okay, let's go. It's just Isaiah 43, right? A voice of one calling the wilderness, prepares the way for the Lord, make straight in the dead. Okay, yeah, so this is bad. This is bad. Guys, look, I'm sorry, but this is silly. Why is it silly? Because you're taking verses that are talking about someone preparing the way for the Lord, and you're saying, based upon your already understanding that the Lord refers to Jesus, and then you're saying that John the Baptist prepared the way for Jesus, therefore this is talking about John the Baptist and Jesus. It's kind of a circle. You see what I'm saying? It's a bit of a circle you've got going on here. Someone could come along and say, no, this is talking about a person, a voice, or generally it might be talking about multiple people who prepare the way for the Lord, meaning the law. They prepare, people for righteousness. Not that they're preparing the way for the person you think is the Son of God. You see the problem here? And this is the issue here. Just because you can interpret a statement in a way that fits your narrative does not mean that that statement actually was intended to fit your narrative. See what I'm saying here? And therefore, the argument is weak at best. Gosh. Anyways, can we move on? Oh gosh, Isaiah 48, 12 to 16. You know what? I might actually take a break after this one, because I'm getting tired of this. And I don't want to be in a situation where I'm not reading it all, and then people are like, you see, you didn't read it all, this is why you didn't understand it, you're a bit retarded. I'd be like, you might be right, but also, when I speak to God, he replies. You see, you know what? I'm gonna make a joke there, right? If I say that, everyone, all the religious people, would say, Yusuf, you're crazy. You're mentally insane. And I would say, why? And they say, obviously God's not speaking to you. And then I would say, but you believe God spoke to people. They say, no, that's different. And I say, okay. I say, when I speak to God, he replies to me. Why did you assume he replies to me with a voice, with a sound, with this? I meant he replies to my supplication, you idiot. And then they're like, you didn't mean that. I did. And and the funny thing about it is, me saying I did is actually more definitive or a better statement of my intent than someone else coming along and interpreting it later. And this is a problem with prophecies. People just interpret them however they see fit. Okay, this is a bit... that's a tangent. I apologize. I'm getting tired, you see. 48, 12 to 16. Let's read this. I'm ashamed by one of the people who... I understand the Christian sending me this, but the guy who wasn't Christian sending me this image as well kind of like shameful, like, is it really that you, and he's not Christian, but is it really that you believe this, or is it really you just want to believe something? Like, come on. Listen to me, Jacob, Israel, whom I have called. I am he. I am the first, and I am the last. My own hand laid the foundation of the earth, and my right hand spread out the heavens. When I summon them, they all stand up together. Come together, all of you, and listen. Which of the idols has foretold these things? The Lord's chosen ally will carry out his purpose against Babylon. His arm will be against the Babylonians. I have spoken. Yes, I have called him. I will bring him, and he will succeed in his mission. Come near me and listen to this. From the first announcement, I have not spoken in secret, and the last time it happens, I am there. And now the sovereign Lord has sent me endowed with his spirit. Okay, what the frickety frack is the argument here? I'm not sure. Where are we looking? Isaiah. Or did I just get the wrong verse? Yeah, 12 to 16. Fourth wall break. What? What? Am I reading something wrong? Am I retarded? We've got the right verse. 48, we've got the right verse. 48, 12 to 16. And my man's saying the fourth wall break. Where's the fourth wall? I'm confused. Let me consult my friend Google. Isaiah 48. This is the first time I've had to consult Google, so I think I've done well in trying to figure out what the intent of the arguments are. What is the argument? I believe one strain in prophecy with an Old Testament prophetic tradition that is fulfilled. Oh, gosh. These people yap so much. Get to the point. I don't see it. When I search deep understanding what I search, it can be more accurate translating the scripture I was reading. I do. Father, fall and come near to me, and I hear I spoken and seek in the beginning from its existence. I was there. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't see. I don't know what you mean by the fourth wall break. What does that mean? Like, I'm so confused, and I think my confusion is okay. So you mean where a fictional character acknowledges they're in a story? So okay, yeah. I'm just not clear on what your argument is here. I'm guessing the argument is I took that too literally, that fourth wall, but still, it's like it's a bit of a weird argument. You're saying, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't see how this proves Jesus in any way, shape, or form. I'm sorry. You can say, I guess, that Jesus is endowed with his spirit, but it happens, I am there. I have not spoken secret at the time, for it happens, I am there. From the first announcement, I am there. Right, okay. I'm sorry. What are you trying to say? That he's the first, he's the alpha, he's the omega? What? Okay, you know what? I'm taking a break from this because I don't even know at this point what's going on. But yeah, I'm not convinced. We will. So how far did we get? We got through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I hope I've counted right. 13. 13, and not convinced at all. If anything, we're kind of convinced either way. But we'll see how long. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 left to go. Maybe we'll be convinced. Who knows? Perhaps Allah will guide us to worshipping Jesus. No, a'udhu billah. A'udhu billah. I'm sorry. I just can't imagine how people worship. You can say divine nature. You can say Jesus is fully divine and fully human. He came in a human nature, but he's divine. But you have to prove that. You have to prove the divine nature. And I just don't see any proof for it. I just don't see the argument here. Well, from here we don't see any real argument up to yet. We've not seen any good argument. It's just forcing him in, really. But whatever. It is what it is. I'm gonna probably have some cookies. Yeah. Okay, so we had our little cookie break and played a little game. And where were we? We're on now Daniel 9:24 to 27. So this is a few here. It's always annoying when it has a few. Let's search what this says. What's it gonna say? I'm kind of tired. I did have a nice sleep last night. But nothing too exciting. But apparently these are going to tell us that the Messiah comes exactly 433 lunar years, 476 lunar years after the decree of whoever the frick that guy was. We'll find out. Daniel. 77s are decreed for your people and your holy city to finish transgression, to put to an end to sin, to atone for wickedness, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy place. Know and understand this, from the time the word goes out to restore and rebuild Jerusalem until the anointed one, the ruler, comes, there will be 7 sevens and 62 sevens. It will be rebuilt with streets and a trench, but in times of trouble, after 62 sevens, the anointed one will be put to death and will have nothing. The people of the ruler who will come to destroy the city and the sanctuary, the end will come like a flood, war will continue until the end, and desolations have been decreed. He will confirm a covenant with many for 1 7. In the middle of the 7, he will put an end to sacrifice and offering, and at the temple he will set up an abomination that causes desolation until the end that is decreed is poured out on him. Okay, so I'm seeing the parallels that someone might try to argue here. They will say Jesus is the anointed one. They're gonna do some maths with this 62 sevens and whatever, and they're gonna say, he did all these things. He did something at the temple. We all remember that. He threw some things over, and I don't know. And yeah, he fits. The only problem is the end will come like a flood. War will continue until the end. It's been 2,000 years, man. Come on. This is the thing. This is just a failed prophecy. Now, you can try to force Jesus into this and say, well, if we can force Jesus into it and then explain the bits that don't happen, but this is fallacious. This is not how we do things in a serious saying. If this is the standard by which God is judging us, then God is not only not just, but is an oppressor. Right? Because, well, by not just, he would by definition be an oppressor. But God is a troll, in the word of the Muslim thinker guy. He's just trolling everyone, because how are you supposed to figure any of this out from? It's just without being born into it. But let's carry on. Ezra 7. Remember, we need perfect fitting. Why do we need these things to fit perfectly? Because if they don't fit perfectly, we just go back to what we know based on our best historic knowledge, which is that there was no Moses, there was no the parting of the sea, there was no enslavement. The Jews made up a story to explain themselves, and they wrote all this law, and it's just story time, and it's not from God. So, but if Jesus fits perfectly, then we can say, coincidences are too much. Maybe it wasn't all a bit of a joke, and it was true. And actually, Jesus is. I can't even say it. I can't even bring myself to say it anymore. But let's read Ezra 7. This one's long. Not to worry, we have all day. I've not even worked properly today. I do work, for anyone wondering. Well, not for anyone else, but I do have an income, so there's that, kind of. I mean, things aren't going my way at the moment, but it happens. Let's read. Now, after these things, in the reign of, I can't pronounce his word, king of Persia, Ezra, the son of Sariah, the son of Azariah, the son of Hilkiah, the son of, okay, I don't care about whose son he is, right? The chief priest. This Ezra went up from Babylon, and we was ready to scribe in the law of Moses, which the Lord God of Israel had given. The king granted all his requests according to the hand of the Lord. And there he went up, some children of Israel, and the priests, and the Levites, and the singers, and the porters, and to Jerusalem in the 7th year. And he came to Jerusalem in the 5th month, which was in the 7th year of the king. For upon the first day, the first month, began to go up to Babylon, the first month, blah blah blah. For Ezra had prepared, I don't really care, and to teach in Israel. Okay, this is not relevant to what we're thinking about. Now, this is I do apologize for reading like this. You guys can read on screen if anyone's actually watching this. Now, this is a copy of the letter of the king. Yeah, that's nice. Nice letter. King of Kings, unto Ezra the priest. A'udhu billah. A'udhu billah. Calling himself King of Kings. A'udhu billah. Allah is King of Kings, not him. The priest, a scribe of the law of the God of heaven, perfect peace. And at such a time I make a decree that all they of the people of Israel and of his priests and Levites in the realm which are minded of their own free will go to Jerusalem, go with these, blah blah blah, Judea, Jerusalem, and carry silver and gold coins, etc., etc. And okay, this is not really exactly relevant to what we want. It's so interesting when they specify, like, when it comes to prophecies that fit perfectly, or where it comes to statements that they can make fit perfectly without like the larger verse, they just like give the specific bit. But when it comes to stuff like this, they want us to read the whole thing. Like, that's crazy. And I am reading. I'm skim reading. Why? Because this is not relevant to what I was told was relevant, and I'm losing patience. It's a command by God, heaven, and we will certify you. Okay, yeah. Okay. The only relevant bit of this was now after these things, the son was something about after these things reign of thingy. It doesn't really mention a date here, does it? I can't see it. It's all this month thing, 7th year. But again, I'm not really too convinced here of what's going on here. And part of that is because the 9:24 Daniel to 27 was a bit of an issue. Ezra 7, they made me read the whole thing, kind of. and I didn't get anything worthwhile. Okay, let's read Nehemiah 2. Look, you know, this is me first time reading this stuff, so, you know, this is just a raw reaction. I mean, I'm not even thinking about any, yeah, so I do apologize if it's not polished, but it is fun. Okay, another chunk of text. How exciting. Okay, in the month of Nisan, in the 20th year of King whatever, when wine was brought for him, I took the wine and gave it to the king. I had not been sad in his presence before, so the king asked me, "Why does your face look so sad when you are not ill? This can be nothing but sadness of the heart." Oh, such a sweet king. I mean, he's so nice. I like him. Oh gosh. Um, I am very much afraid, but I said to the king, "May the king live forever." What do you mean you're afraid of the king? This guy is such a sweet guy. He's asking you how you are. Like, he sees it in your face. He pays such attention. He's like me. Why should my face not look sad when the city where my ancestors are buried lies in ruin, and its gate have been destroyed by fire? Oh, that wasn't nice to say, was it? I mean, poor king. The king said to me, "What is it you want? Look at this king. He's so sweet and nice." Then I prayed to the God of heaven, and I answered the king, "If it pleases the king, and if your servant has found favor in his sight, let him send me in the city in Judea where my ancestors are buried, so that I can rebuild it." Then the king, with the queen sitting beside him. Oh, this is lovely. He's got the queen beside him. Like, this is not even a sexist guy. We've got this guy. This is a real hero here. Asked me, "How long will your journey take, and when will you get back?" It pleased the king to send me, so I set a time. I also said to him, "If it pleases the king, may I have letters to the governors of uh, Euphrates, so that they will provide me safe conduct until I arrive in Judea? And may I have a letter to Asaph, keeper of the royal park, so he will give me timber to make beams for the gates of the citadel by the temple, and for the city wall, and for the residence I will occupy." And because the gracious hand of my God was on me, the king granted my requests. So I went to the governors of Euphrates and gave them the king's letter, and the king also sent army officers and cavalry with me. What a sweet king. Can we just admire this king? He's such a sweet guy. Like, you know, this guy, like, he doesn't even appreciate the king. I mean, you know, he's like a woman whose husband does so much for her, and she doesn't appreciate him. But this king, he's so lovely. I love him. When, have I just committed like several counts of blasphemy against someone? I don't know. When Sanballat the Hernite, the whatever official heard about this, they were very much disturbed that someone had come to promote the welfare of the Israelites. You see, these guys are not happy. They're like, "Nope, we don't like this." Okay, when do we get to the bit that we actually want to see? I inspect Jerusalem's walls. "I went to Jerusalem, and after staying there 3 days, I set out during the night with a few others. I had not told anyone that my God had put in my heart to do for Jerusalem. There was no mount with me except one that I was riding. By night I went out throughout the valley gate towards... Okay, I'm getting bored. Where's the dates? Right? Nope, no dates, no dates. "You see the trouble we are in Jerusalem, lies in ruins, Jerusalem burned, blah blah blah. Let us rebuild the wall of Jerusalem, we will no longer be in disgrace." I also told them about the gracious hand of my God on me, and they replied, "Let us rebuild." But when... Oh, the Arab noi noi. Arab heard about it. They mocked and ridiculed us. What is this you are doing? They asked. Are you rebuilding against the king? I answered them by saying, the God of heaven will success. We, his servants, will start rebuilding. But as you have no share in Jerusalem or any claim or historic right to it. These Jews, they always don't like the Arabs. What's that about? Okay, now I'm confused. What the frickety frack does this thing give a date? The only thing I think you can say a date was in Daniel 9:24-27, and we already discussed why that's a problem. So, yeah, very sad. Very, very sad. I just wasted so much time. I feel like I'm being sold a lie here, and it's pissing me off. I now understand why, some of these guys, like, when ISIS was like doing what they were doing to the Coptic Christians, I'm like kind of not feeling sorry for those Christians now. I'm joking, come on. Come on. Come on. Well, I don't feel sorry for them. I'm going to be honest, I don't really care. They're irrelevant to me. But, in my defense, I don't know. I don't know. Oh gosh, I'm gonna get in so much, like, people really dislike it when I speak like that. But the bottom line is this, ultimately we are at war with religious people, whether you like it or not. I mean, we can tolerate the Jewish religion only because, their goals are limited, right? Let's be realistic here. They have limited goals in the Middle East. That's why I don't mind like extreme Jews. I mean, obviously I prefer the secular ones, but, they're a counterbalance against the Muslims ultimately. That's the reality, right? But when it comes to like Christians, I mean, I don't mind Christians who just, want to be meek and practice their religion private, but it's never really like that, let's be honest. Everyone has ambitions to have control. Muslims, Christians, so we're at war. I guess that's how it is, really. I mean, it's just we're polite war at the moment. That's a bit of tangent. Let's read. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel. Okay. Not sure where we're going with that. I will put enmity between you and the woman. Okay, the woman's Eve, and between your offspring and hers. So their offspring is together. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel. Okay, someone's head's getting crushed and someone's heel's getting... Very nice, very nice. I'm not sure how that becomes a verse, a prophecy about the Virgin Mary. I'm just not seeing the connection. But this is one of the problems, and this is one of the issues, is you're reading stuff into things. You're reading stuff. Because we've all been seeing this. We see you're trying to read Jesus, you're trying to read Mary, you're trying to read the narrative into this stuff. And now you're even reading it into this. Like, again, I am not convinced, and unfortunately today I am the judge, jury, and executioner. Unfortunately. Where are we? 3:15. Okay, let's go to Genesis 18. I think this is a fun one that they like to use. Right. Okay, yeah, it's the three visitors. Right. It's so long. It's so long. I have some knowledge of this one. But let's go with it. So, this is what it says. The Lord appeared to Abraham near the great trees of wherever that is, while he was sitting at the entrance to his tent. In the heat of the day, Abraham looked up and saw 3 men standing nearby. When he saw them, he hurried from the entrance of his tent to meet them and bowed low to the ground. He said, "If I have found favor in your eyes, my Lord, do not pass your servant by. Let a little water be brought, and then you may all wash your feet and rest after this tree. Let me get you something to eat, so you can be refreshed, and then go on your way, now that you have come to your servant. Okay, so this is it, right? The argument they're using is essentially they're saying that the Lord appeared to Abraham, and notice he appears as three men, and Abraham bows. So they're saying that these three men are the Lord. Maybe they're making the argument that these three men are the three persons of the Trinity, but they're trying to make the argument that Abraham believed in a triune God. Typically, I mean, if you ask the Jews at least, they will tell you this, he's bowing to the angels, or whoever the frickety frack they are. But we can continue reading, because I think it'd be fun to read. So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah. Quick, he said, get free, whatever that is, the finest flour, and knead it, and make some bread. How sweet. Then he ran to the herd and selected a choice of tender calf, and gave it to a servant. He hurried. Oh, was that a servant? Was that a slave? Interesting. I'm just wondering. Who hurried to prepare it. He then brought some curds and milk. I was gonna make a joke then, but I'm not gonna. And the calf, and that had been prepared, and sat these before them while they ate. He stood near them under a tree. Where your wife Sarah? They asked him. There in the tent. He said. Then one of them said, I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah your wife will have a son. Now Sarah was listening at the entrance to the tent which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah were already very old, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself, as she thought, after I am worn out, and my Lord is old, interesting, will I now have his pleasure? Then the Lord said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh and say, will I really have a child now that I am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son. Sarah was afraid, so she lied and said, I did not laugh. But he said, yes, you did laugh. Okay, so the argument that they're making is that these three people are the Lord. So it's not an angel saying. So in this it says the Lord said. So this is God speaking, and God is these three whatever. This is the basic thing. Obviously, this would imply that Sarah's laughing at God in a way, but maybe she wasn't aware that it was God in this whatever. We're just going with it right now. We're just going with it. I'm not really too convinced, but this is the argument. When the men got up, they looked down towards Sodom, and Abraham walked along with them to see them on their way. Then the Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do? Now this is a problem. It keeps making this distinction between the men and the Lord. Yeah, I mean, you can argue, potentially saying, it goes from the Lord to the men, and this guy just starts bowing to him. So maybe these men are like a image of God. God's come in their form or whatever. But it's not definitive. It's not actually as clear as the Christians are trying to argue. It's oh gosh, am I gonna quote the Quran now? Oh gosh, they follow the ambiguous verses. Oh gosh, no. It will surely become. Okay, let's carry on reading. Then the Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do? Abraham will surely become a great and powerful nation, and all nations on the earth will be blessed through him. For I have chosen him so that he will direct his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord, by doing what is right and just, so that the Lord will bring about for Abraham what he has promised him. Then the Lord said, the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great, and their sin so grievous, that I will go down and see if they have done is as bad as the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will know. Very interesting image of God. Well, okay. I'm sorry. Look, But obviously, I consider all these bedtime stories. So I'm sorry, but they are bedtime stories as far as I'm concerned. And they were probably written for kids as well. You know? Oh gosh, let's carry on. The men turned away and went towards Sodom, but Abraham remained. Why is it? Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Okay, this is silly now. How is it that you saying the men turned away and went towards Sodom, but Abraham remained before the Lord? So we've got God, we've got the three men, and we've got Abraham. So you can't use this for whatever you're trying. It just doesn't follow. Because look at what you're saying. You're saying in Genesis 18, God the Son appeared to Abraham. I don't see it, my friends. I don't see it. But we're going to carry on. Then, I was going to say the N word again. I'm very sorry. I'm not going to say it. I'm a good boy now. Where were we? Where were we? I've lost where we were. But Abraham remained standing. Okay, yeah. Then Abraham approached him and said, "Will you sweep?" Again, approaching God physically, standing before Him. What kind of a? I mean, I will give the Christians credit here. Yeah, I mean, this is a physical being. This is not like the transcendent God. This is a physical being. So I mean, maybe that's their argument. But more likely, the authors of the Old Testament, as they call it, you know, believed in a physical God, and they were wrong. And that God was rejected, and we rejected that thanks to Greek philosophy, and all the religions just reinterpreted everything to make it fit. And someone's gonna say, no, we came after the Greek philosophy, so we didn't reinterpret it. Fair enough. Oh gosh. Will you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Will you really sweep it away and not spare the place for the sake of the 50 righteous people in it? For by it from you far be it from you to do such a thing, to kill the righteous with the wicked, treating the righteous and the wicked alike. For far be it from you. Will not the judge of all earth do right? You know, this is actually like kind of a contradiction of reality, because we do know that God, if God is the author of everything, and everything is His act, when tsunamis, earthquakes, and all these terrible things happen, they kill the righteous and the sinners alike. So this argument from Abraham is weak at best. It's a fallacious argument. I mean, the Lord said, if I find 50 righteous people in the city of Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake. If I was there and I was speaking, I would have said, and if I was speaking and the Lord gave me permission to decide, I would have said to Abraham, if I find 50, I will save the city, not for their sake, but for your sake. And no. Let me twist that. If I find 50 righteous people, I will destroy the city on account of your stupid argument. That's what I would say. Oh gosh. No, I'm not committing blasphemy. I'm pointing out that this argument's not sound, right? It's an emotional argument ultimately. Now you can make the argument that God shouldn't punish the righteous for the wicked, but the simple fact of reality is, if it's true that everything is God's doing, then it is also true that He's already doing that, right? Unless you set up some like dualism kind of thing. So since He's already doing that, how can you use that as an argument? You already know this is from what God does. You already know this is from the actions of God. You already know this is from the Sunan of Allah. Why are you like this? A'udhu billah. Tikillah. Then Abraham spoke up again. Now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, though I am nothing but dust and ashes, what if the number of the righteous is 5, less than 50? Will you destroy the whole city for lack of 5 people? If I find 45 there, he said, I will not destroy it. Once again he spoke to him. what if only 40 are found there? He said, for the sake of 40, I will not do it. Then, okay, we're going lower and lower. I will not do it. Fine, 33. Abraham said, now, what if, now that I have been so bold to speak to the Lord, if only 20 can be found there? He said, for the sake of the 20, I will not destroy it. Then he said, may the Lord not be angry, but let me speak just once more. What if only 10 can be found there? You know, so for the sake of 10, I will not destroy. Well, the Lord had finished speaking with Abraham and left, and Abraham returned home. So he went from 50 to 10, but I still, I mean, you cannot make the argument. You can say that Abraham's argument's not too bad, because Abraham's just trying to get God to not punish him, and God's just like, yeah, sure, whatever, okay, fair enough. But the bottom line is, if we follow the logic of the argument, look at this. To kill the righteous with the wicked, treating the righteous and the wicked alike, far be it from you. Will not the judge of all the earth do right? Well, technically, if this is a sound statement, and not kufr, not blasphemy, then God is not doing righteousness many times. All the time he's not acting righteously. And I don't know, it just makes more sense if these are just stories, you know, but weren't actually that well thought out, and later people try to figure out and try to think about, okay, that's a tangent. Where did friggity frack Jesus appear? Like, this is a stretch. Like, we went over this. Just because 3 people appear and he bows to them doesn't mean he's bowing to Jesus. It doesn't mean, and the fact that the men are distinct from the Lord later on kind of disqualifies that. So I'm sorry, guys, doesn't work. Very sad, very sad. Moving on. Genesis 22. We're really speedrunning this, aren't we? No, we're not. It's been so long. Ugh. I just have more energy now. I'm drinking some Pepsi. I do apologize for the tangents, but it's just, how can anyone get through this without tangents? Good stuff. That was not an advertisement for Pepsi, but I do think I own some shares in Pepsi. I don't know what I own at this point. Okay, Genesis 22, another. It's not that long, it's not that bad. Ooh, Abraham's being tested. Clearly, the logical thinking was not tested. I'm just saying, it really bugs me, that argument. I consider it blasphemous. I mean, I don't mind it, like, but you have to have a different vision of God. You have to have the Jewish vision of God where, you know, you kind of like say things you know aren't true about God just to like make the argument for the sake of it and see how far you get. You know what I'm saying? And God just finds it kind of funny and just like, yeah, okay, whatever. You know, you have to have that kind of vision of God. You can't have a vision of God like Muslims and Christians have, you know. And yeah, oh shit, did I accidentally pull my thing out? I hope not. You won't be able to hear me then. Let's check. I can't check like that. 1 second. Should we put some music on? Get copy stricken. 1 second. I have a solution for this. We're gonna listen.
Genesis 22. Sometime later.
Okay. We just need to listen to that guy. Okay. Sometime later, God tested Abraham. He said to him, Abraham, here I am. Yes, it's me. He replied. Then God said, take your son, your only son whom you love, Isaac, and go to the region of wherever the 55 that is, sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on a mountain. I will show you. Sweet. Here, it's me, it's God, go kill your son. That is pure Tawheed there, right? Think about it. Besides the here I am bit, you know, kill your son because I'm God and I told you to. And you're going to do it because I said so, you know. And early the next morning, Abraham got up and loaded his donkey. He took with him 2 of his servants and his son Isaac. When he had cut enough wood for the burnt offering, he set out for the place God had told him about. On the third day, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. He said to his servants, "Stay here with the donkey, while I and the boy go over there. We will worship, and then we will come back to you." Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and placed it on his son Isaac, and he himself carried the fire and the knife. As the two of them went on together, Isaac spoke up and said to his father, "Father?" "Yes, my son," Abraham replied. "The fire and wood are here," Isaac said, "but where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" Oh gosh, this is horrible. The version of the Quran is so much nicer if you actually think about it. It's like, yeah, I had a dream, I had a vision, and I was killing you, son. What do you think about this? And he's like, do what God commanded you to do. This is just like, yeah, we're gonna go, let's go slaughter something for God. Okay, where's the lamb? Where's the sacrifice? It's you, buddy. You didn't even tell him before. Okay, maybe he didn't want him to be scared, but still, come on, let's. It's funny. Abraham answered, "God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son." And the two of them went on together. I thought God told you to kill him. Why aren't you telling him? This is mean. Like, let him know. Let him know what you're gonna do. When we reached the place God had told him about, Abraham built an altar there and arranged the wood on it. He bound his son Isaac and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Then he reached out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. But the angel of the Lord called out to him from heaven, "Abraham, Abraham, here I am." He replied, oh gosh. I'm just saying, this depiction of Abraham is worse than the depiction in the Quran. To the credit of like the Quran as a text, the Quran is far more in line with liberalism than the Bible, including the New Testament, by the way, because the New Testament does confirm all of this stuff, by the way, right? So, all these people who say, Islam's in contradiction with Western civilization. Well, I forget, drop the Western civilization thing, because people who say that don't know the Roman Empire. Honor killings were normal in Rome, right? Well, they were legal, right? Legal. So maybe the true inheritors of the Roman Empire are the Arabs, because they still do that stuff. Oh my gosh. But no. The point I'm trying to make is people who make this argument that Islam is specifically against liberalism or specifically problematic, they've either not read the Bible or not read the Quran. One of the two. I mean, read them both. I'm telling you, you know which one's more liberal. The issue with Islam is more so that the scholars of Islam were very good at having good arguments for their legal tradition. And those arguments, if you subscribe to the Quran and Hadith, you will come to those same conclusions, and you'll come to the same difference of opinions and whatnot. You might say, yeah, you can have sex with pagan slave girls, even though the majority say you can't. But you're not going to come to the conclusion that offensive jihad doesn't exist, right? That's the issue with Islam. But like as a pure text, if you just look at the Quran itself, it's not really, and there's certain aspects of the Quran that are the stories are actually somewhat better. Like the version of the Quran, if we're saying they're all fiction, the Quranic version of this story is better. Well, why? Because Abraham, God's bestie, is not just lying to his son and being a psychotic murderer. At least the Abraham of the Quran is like, oh, by the way, God wants me to kill you. What do you think about this? Gosh, so... Anyways, let's carry on. "Do not lay a hand on the boy," he said. "Do not do anything to him. Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son." Here we are. That is probably the argument he's making. But the angel of the Son called out, "Abraham, Abraham." And then this is the angel of the Lord, and the argument would be that the angel of the Lord is actually Jesus, because this is not God the Father, but this is thingy, and he's saying you fear God because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son. And the argument is not withheld from who? From God. Why is he saying me unless he's part of the Trinity or whatnot? You know, fair enough. Abraham looked up, and there in a thicket he saw a ram caught by its horns. He said he went over and took the ram and sacrificed it as a burnt offering instead of his son. So Abraham called that place, the Lord will provide. And to this day it is said, on the mountain of the Lord it will be provided. I wonder where that mountain is. The angel of the Lord called to Abraham from heaven a second time and said, I swear by myself. Interesting. Declares the Lord, that because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son, I will surely bless you and make your descendants as numerous as is the stars in the sky and the sand in the seashores. Your descendants will take possession of the cities of the enemies, and through your offspring all nations on earth will be blessed because you have obeyed me. When Abraham returned to his servants or slaves, just a question, and they set off together for Beersheba, and Abraham stayed in Beersheba. Sometime later, Abraham was told, Milcah is also a mother. She has borne sons to your brother Noah, Uz the firstborn, Buz his brother, Camel the father of Aram, Hesed. Okay. His concubine. This is irrelevant because we like concubine stuff. Okay, so that's their argument. Their argument is, the angel of the Lord, and in this one passage here, the angel of the Lord appears to be speaking for God as if he is God. Now, if you wanted to counter that, you would say, why does he not speak for God as God here when he says, I swear by myself, declares the Lord, that because you have done, why is this declares the Lord? Why can't we say, here what's been missed is the something's missing, right? Why can't that be? Again, I'm not really don't really care. I don't see this is not a definitive thing, right? This argument that's being made from Genesis 22. I mean, Genesis 18 was not good. Genesis 22 is a better one, I think. That God the Son stops Isaac's sacrifice. It's basically saying that because the angel seems to be assuming God's position, therefore that is actually the Son in the triune God. But it's not the best argument, because you can say that maybe Abraham wasn't a true monotheist. Maybe the old Jews weren't true monotheists. They have a bit of paganism about them. Maybe the angel of the Lord is like a co-divine creator with God. But again, that does not prove Christianity. It might be an argument you could use against Muslims, but Muslims will say, it's just corrupted, or they'll reinterpret this. Or it can also be an argument against rabbinical Judaism, which again would not interpret this the way it's being interpreted by the Christians. But if we are to look at the evidence we have at hand, the actual evidence, then we know that actually the Jews were not monotheists in their early period. The Jews were pagans, right? Baal is a god of the Jews, right? Yahweh, El, all these things, Yahweh is a storm god, right? That is what our historic knowledge indicates. And different gods are incorporated into the Jewish myth. Eventually you end up with monotheism, but it makes sense when you read the Bible. You have clear transgressions against pure monotheism because it wasn't written all by monotheists. It was written by people who have suspect inclinations, but again, I don't see this argument as a good argument per se. Let's go to Genesis 32. It's a lot of reading for, like, look how far down we are here, and we're not really getting any good argument. I've just spent so much of my day on this. It's sad. It's sad. No one's even going to watch it. It's part of life, I guess. Okay. Let's read together as a family. I think I made it too big this time. Wait, what are we looking for before I just read this block of text? Okay, they've given, what is this? Just this Genesis 32. Okay, God the Son. Okay, we're looking at. So what they're trying to argue is that their paganism, or their making Jesus part with God, it's not something that didn't exist in the Old Testament. They're all bloody much not pure monotheists, really, and when they interpret the angel of the Lord, is actually thingy. So I think we'll read it and we'll see what it says, and we'll just have our own thingy. It's always the angels of the God. Okay. Jacob also went on his way, and the angels of God met him. When Jacob saw them, he said, "This is the camp of God." So he named the place Mahanaim. Okay. Jacob sent messengers ahead of him to his brother. I can't say these names. Jewish names are something else. In the land of Seir. I really liked it. Actually, no, we'll carry on reading before I go on my tangent about some Jewish girl. The country of Edom. He instructed them, "This is what you are to say to my Lord. Is your servant Jacob says, I have been serving with Laban and have remained there till now. I have cattle and okay, I don't give a damn about cattle, donkeys. We sent your brother blah blah blah, of great distress, blah blah blah." Then Jacob said, "O God of my father Abraham, God of my father Isaac, Lord, you have said to me, go back to your country and your..." Okay, so is it that I am unworthy of all kindness and faithfulness? Okay. Okay, this is relevant. I'm sorry, but it's just so much of it is kind of irrelevant. Okay, Jacob wrestles with God. The night Jacob got up and took his two wives. How lovely! And his two female servants. You mean concubines? I'm just wondering. 2 wives, 2 concubines. What a life! I had a slave, by the way. It's true, but I actually did have a concubine. This is true. Oh gosh, I'm gonna get myself in prison if I keep saying that. But don't worry, you can't prove it. No one could ever prove it. Maybe I'm just trolling. Who knows? But it's true, I did. I mean, she wanted to be a slave. Maybe it was a kink of hers. I just wanted a legal loophole. Oh gosh. Female servant and his 11 sons crossed before. After he had sent them across the stream, he sat over all his possessions. Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him till daybreak. When the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip, so that his hip was wrenched as he wrestled with the man. Then the man said, "Let me go, for it is daybreak." But Jacob replied, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." The man asked, "What is your name?" "Jacob," he answered. Then the man said, "Your name will no longer be Jacob but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome." Jacob said, "Please tell me your name." But he replied, "Why do you ask my name?" Then he blessed him there. So Jacob called the place, saying, "It is because I saw God face to face, and yet my life was spared." The sun rose above him. Okay, so the argument here is Jacob is wrestling with this guy, and this guy Jacob thinks is God. So, and they're saying that this is Jesus, right? Again, this goes back to the point that I was saying previously. The Jews were not pure monotheists. They're not monotheists. In the pure sense, they become monotheists. And now I can tell you the story about this lovely Jewish girl I knew. I really liked her. I hope she's doing well. She's a lovely girl. Very wealthy as well. Or she said comfortable. Lovely girl. But she was named after one of the... she is named after one of the Jewish gods. Like one of their pagan gods, right? That's the relevance of the story. They're not pure monotheists. They had pagan gods. They had sea gods. They had these gods. They had Yahweh is the storm god. They had different gods, and what ends up happening is as time goes, once you destroy the temple, they become monotheistic because the local god of Israel has to become a global god when the Jews scatter, right? That's what it is. People will say, no, you're lying. Well, that's what our best historic knowledge goes. And unless God's a prankster, I'm going with what our historical knowledge and what the evidence suggests. So let's read Genesis 48. Can we just get to the point? It's the same type of argument, but we'll give it a read anyways, because why the frick not? We're just like hip like that, aren't we? Oh gosh. Sometime later, Joseph was told, "Your father is ill," so he took his son. Okay. Jacob said to Joseph, "God Almighty appeared to me at Luz, the land of Canaan, when he blessed me and said to me, I'm going to make you fruitful." Yeah, God's meeting you in land, this isn't pure monotheism. I'm getting the picture now. It must have been Jesus in his human form, God in his human form. Let's square the circle. It's one way of squaring the circle, to be fair to the Christians. It's not like completely retarded, but it is a cope ultimately. Now when your son's born to you in Egypt, blah blah blah, don't care. When Israel saw the sons of Joseph, he said, "Who are these?" "They are the sons of God. They are the sons God has given me here." Joseph said to his father. Then Israel said, "Bring them to me so I may bless them." Now Israel's eyes were failing because of old age, and he could hardly see. So Joseph brought his sons close to him and said, and his father kissed them and embraced them. Israel said to Joseph, "I never expected to see your face again, and now God has allowed me to see your children too." Sweet. Then Joseph removed them from Israel's knees and bowed down with his face to the ground, and Joseph took both of them, I'm not saying that name, on his right. Towards Israel's left hand was some other dude on his left. Okay, I don't care who was left, right, whatever. But Israel reached out, blah blah blah, no one cares. Then he blessed Joseph and said, "May the God before whom my father Abraham and Isaac walked faithfully, and the God who has been my shepherd all my life to this day, the angel who has delivered me from all harm, may he bless these boys, may he be called by my name and the names of my father Abraham and Isaac, and may they increase greatly on the earth." When Joseph saw his father placing his right hand on whatever, he was displeased, so he took hold of his father's hand and removed it. Head. Joseph said to him, "No, my father, this one is the firstborn. Put your right hand on his head." But his father refused and said, "I know my son. I know he too will become a people, and he too will become great. Nevertheless, his youngest brother will be greater than he, and his descendants will become a group of nations." He blessed them that day and said, "In your name will Israel pronounce his blessings. May God make you like whatever," and blah 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 blah. Then Israel said, "I am about to." Okay, I just again, I'm guessing somewhere in that they've got this idea that, you know, of because he said he met God in the land of Canaan or whatever. Right. What I was going to say, something. After reading that, I remember many years ago, maybe 13 or 14 years ago, I was speaking to a Christian preacher. Okay, this was it when he was speaking to me personally, or was it when he was giving his weird rant? And this guy, he was actually a black guy. I was about to I don't use the N-word offensively, it's just a bit of a joke. But this guy, right, he's giving his thing, and then he's like, I met an angel. And I was like, what? You met an angel? He's like, yeah. And he's like, okay, tell me about the angel. He's like, yeah, so I met an angel. He's some homeless guy, and he gave me a pack of alcohol. And I was like, what? And he's like, no human would do that. And I was like, what? I'm not joking. But when you read this, you can understand why they say just things like that. If you're reading like the Bible and you're taking it seriously, you can see why, I was wrestling with a guy and he didn't tell me his name, must be God. Oh gosh, because he said you're the one who struggles with God. Oh gosh. Unless you make everything a metaphor, it's just kind of like, this is why I say it's probably written for children. Anyways, what was that? That was Genesis 48. Oh gosh. Exodus 3. We keep doing this where they're trying to prove, okay, so I get what their argument is. So we've kind of proved that all these well, we've not proved, but we've kind of gone through all their prophecies for Jesus and found them lacking. So we're not convinced that he's the Messiah. Now we're just really going through verses where they're trying to argue that the biblical prophets were not monotheists in a rabbinic sense. They were not monotheists in the Islamic sense, but they're monotheists in a Christian sense, right? This is what they're trying to prove, and I don't actually disagree per se with this. I don't believe they were monotheists at all. I don't believe they existed, right? But let's do this. But it is getting a bit boring because, yeah, you can use these verses and you can say, look, see, they're not pure thingies. And someone else could use these verses and say, well, actually, not only are they not pure monotheists, they were pagans. And we can get to that. Like, for example, I'll give you this example here. When the Bible says, if your brother should worship a god, gods that gods that neither your father, neither you nor your father, gods that neither you nor your fathers knew, then put him to death. Basically, I can say, look, it's gods in the plural. So if he worships Baal, it's fine. But if he worships a foreign god, this is the key: foreign god, foreign pagan god, then it's a problem. You have to be part of our little idol worshipping club, our local idol worshipping club. And you can do this for other things in the Bible as well. So it's just that argument, really. But they're making it to prove that, actually, they were seeing Jesus. Let's carry on reading. Oops. This is so... Let's see. Now Moses was tending his flock. Okay, I don't care. The angel of the Lord, it's always the angel of the Lord, appeared to him in flames of fire from within the bush. Moses saw that through the bush was on fire, it did not burn. So Moses thought, I will go over there and see the sight. And when the Lord saw that I had gone over to look, God called to him from within the bush, Moses, Moses! And Moses said, Here I am, here I am. Do not come closer, God said. Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. Then he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. At this Moses hid his face because he was afraid to look at God. Okay, so what's the argument here? The angel of the Lord appeared to him in the flames of fire from in the bush, and then the angel of the Lord somehow becomes God, right? That's the argument. Now, again, you can interpret this differently. But again, I'm not really too fussed about this because, again, it doesn't prove Jesus is the Lord. This does not say Jesus. You can say Jesus is the angel of the Lord, and you can say that they weren't pure monotheists in the rabbinic or Islamic sense, but you cannot then use that to prove that Jesus is the Messiah or Jesus is the Son of God. And I'm not. I mean, I can read it. If anyone wants to read it, read it. But at this point, we know the argument. We know what their argument is, and I'm getting a bit bored. Okay. My name is in him. Can forgive sin. Okay, that has a question mark. I want to see what the question is. Exodus 23. Okay, another long piece of text. You know, I was going to make a very inappropriate comment, but we're not going to. Ha 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 ha. Do not spread false reports. Do not help a guilty person by being malicious witness. Do not follow the crowd in doing wrong. When you give testimony in a lawsuit, do not prevent justice by siding with the crowd. Do not show favoritism to a poor person in a lawsuit. If you come across your enemy's ox or donkey wandering off, be sure to return it. How sweet. If you see the donkey of someone who hates you fallen down under its load, do not leave it there. Be sure to help him with it. Do not deny justice to your poor people in their lawsuits. Have nothing to do with a false. Okay, we get it. This is a bunch of moral commands. Okay, but what's the point? Do not oppose a foreigner. You yourselves know how it feels to be foreigners because you were foreigners in Egypt. Again, it's directed to Jews, clearly. I will say something though. I mean, this notion that, you know, if you see an enemy's ox or donkey running off, be sure to return. No, of course not. Kill it or take it for yourself. Why would you return your enemy's possession unless there was an interest there? What is the interest there? You know, people are going to say, see, this is why you're not guided, because you're like crazy. But no, think about it. And I mean, there's other verses where in the Bible where God's commanding to kill the animals and everyone, the humans, the babies, you know. But here is something else, right? Now, if you mean your enemy in the sense of your enemy in a local sense, yeah, sure, okay, be nice to him. But if you mean your enemy in a civilizational sense, no, it's silly. You know, you want to have him have no advantage, really. That's what you want. I hope I've not actually missed some of these things going through, because I'm getting really bored and tired of this. You know, American markets have opened. I wonder, how much money am I losing? That's how bored I am. Okay, that's not nice. Very sad. Dumb Americans will win in the end. But yeah, I don't get Americans. They confuse me. Sabbath laws, I don't really care. What are we looking for? What are we looking for here in Exodus 23? My name is in him. Let's just try searching that in here. Okay. It's right at the bottom. See, we don't have to read it all, because why didn't... What? Look, you see what I'm saying about not specifying? When it's like these long-winded stuff, they don't like to specify the thing. But when it's... I've already said this. Gosh, I feel like I'm being missold. Gosh. See, I am sending an angel ahead of you to guard you along the way and to bring you to the place I have prepared. Pay attention to him and listen to what he says. Do not rebel against him. He will not forgive your rebellion, since my name is in him. Interesting. If you listen carefully to what he says and do all that I say, if you listen carefully to what he says and do all that I say. I will be an enemy to your enemies and will oppose those who oppose you. My angel will go ahead of you and bring you into the land of whatever, and I will wipe them out. You see, back to wiping people out. I thought we weren't killing their oxes and their goats. I mean, you have to, like, I don't know, guys. Do not bow down before their gods or worship them or follow their practices. You must demolish them and break their sacred stones to pieces. Worship the Lord your God, and his blessings will be your food and water. I will take away the sickness from amongst you. Okay, so I will send terror ahead of you. You see, this is like the hadith. I was given victory by Rahb. I said it wrong. Rahb, is it Rahb? Turhibu yani. Okay, but whatever. I was given victory by terror, and the Quran says, "Turhibu adu adla," terrorize the enemies of God. Right? Oh gosh. Yeah, you're telling me that, there's no parallels between these religions. Come on. I'm messing. I will send terror ahead of you and throw into confusion every nation you encounter. I will make all of your enemies turn their backs and run. I will send a hornet. Okay, this is really irrelevant to what we really want to discuss. I will establish your borders from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean Sea, and from the desert to the Euphrates. Okay, I mean, we've got the Israeli nationalists, my associates, we've got what they want. Do not let them live in your land. Do not make a covenant with them or with their gods. Do not let them live in your land, or they will cause you to sin against me, because the worship of their God will certainly be a snare to you. Okay? Fair enough. Right? Okay, so the argument. The argument is, I'm guessing, since my name is in him. That's the argument. Based upon this, they're trying to say that this dude, this angel of the Lord, whoever he is also God, and it's actually Jesus. Again, it's the same argument. We're not going through this thingy. Okay, no, it says, my name is in him, can forgive sins. Okay, let's see where they're going with that. I know where they're going with that. Let's just entertain it. Let's be reasonable here. Let's be charitable. Do not rebel against him. He will not forgive your rebellion, since my name is in him. So the argument is that since he will not forgive, the argument is that he has the ability to forgive. I'm guessing, but it's not a good argument. I'm sorry, it's just not. It's just like, okay, yeah. I just don't. Come on, it's getting a bit silly. Because even if you say that the angel of the Lord is actually God as well, or whatnot, or manifestation of God, the issue is it doesn't prove it's Jesus. It just disproves pure monotheism, I guess. So Judges 13. We're gonna get through this hopefully soon. It's been so long, hasn't it? Oh gosh. Don't tell me I'm reading all of this now. Okay, I'm just gonna search man. Okay, there's a lot of mentions of this guy. Let's search wife. Wife. Okay, I think I've got it. I just don't want to read it. Like, look at this. This is a block of text. Like, we've gone through this so much time, and there's only one line really about they want us to read. But let's read from 8. Then Manoah prayed to the Lord, pardon your servant, Lord. I beg you to let the man of God you sent to us come again to teach us how to bring up the boy who is born. God heard when the angel of God came again to the woman while she was out in the field. But her husband, when I was not with her, the woman hurried to tell her husband, he's here, the man who appeared to me the other day. And I got up and followed his wife, who came to the man. He said, are you the man who talked to my wife? He said, I am. Yeah, I am. It's me. It's me, boy. It's me. I'm here. It's me, man. So when I asked him, when your words are fulfilled, what is to be ruled of governor? What is that? The angel of the Lord answered, your wife will do what I have told her. She must not eat anything, etc., etc. Said the angel of the Lord, we would like you to stay until... The angel of the Lord replied, even though you detain me, I will not eat your food. But if you prepare a burnt offering, offer it to the Lord. Do not realize that it was the angel of the Lord. Then of the angel of the Lord, what is your name, so that we may honor you and your word come true? Replied, why do you ask my name? It is beyond understanding. When I took a young goat together with the grain and offering and sacrificed it on a rock to the Lord, and the Lord did an amazing thing while man and his wife watched. As the flame blazed up the altar towards the heaven, the angel of the Lord ascended in the flame. Seeing this, man and his wife fell with their face on the ground. When the angel of the Lord did not show himself again, his wife realized that it was the angel of the Lord. We are doomed or to die, he said to his wife. We have seen God. Right, so this is the point. The point is this whole angel of the Lord. The idea is that they equate the angel of the Lord and God. Had meant to kill us, he would have. Blah, 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 right? This is the argument. And again, it doesn't... Again, it just proves that they weren't pure monotheists. I mean, this is not convincing me that Jesus is the Son of God. It just, I mean, obviously, Jews would have a different interpretation. Well, I'm not getting into that, but this whole angel of the Lord stuff, this is what it was. Oh, gosh. Golly. Where were we? Judges 13. I'm actually like, to be fair, I'm going to be fair. The only thing out of all of this that has been worthwhile is this angel of the Lord stuff. Everything else has been like, yeah, super big. At least the angel of the Lord stuff, I mean, when I say angel, I mean specifically when it's the angel of the Lord, and not when it's the three that appeared to Abraham. That was not a good one. You can say this is the only thing in this that you can say, yeah, they are equating the angel of the Lord to God. They are not pure monotheists. Kind of. Okay, what are we looking now? It always says God the Son. The verse says angel of the Lord, right? You're interpreting angel of the Lord as Jesus. Who is the king's son? I don't know. Let's read it. Let's find out who the king's son is. It's typically not an good argument if you just say, who's this person? Oh, I don't know. It's an argument from ignorance, really, but let's go. Why do the nations conspire and the people plot in vain? The kings of the earth rise up, and the rulers band together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their chains and throw off their shackles. The one enthroned in heaven laughs. The Lord scoffs at them. He rebukes them in his anger and terrifies them in his wrath, saying, I have installed my king on Zion, my holy mountain. I will proclaim the Lord's decree. He said to me, you are my son. Today I have become your father. Ask me, and I will make the nations your inheritance, and the ends of the earth your possession. You will break them with a rod of iron. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, it's this. You're my son. Today I become your father. Who is the king's son? I don't know who the king's son is, but I don't really care, right? Right, it's like, it just seems like kind of irrelevant. Like, like, I'm sorry, if this is like your argument for Jesus, this is like kind of crap, right? And let's see what the last one is. Oh, no, no, no. We've not seen Proverbs. Let's see if Proverbs. Oh, gosh. Now someone's gonna say, "I know you just blinded by arrogance or whatnot." I sat down for hours reading this crap. So no, 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 no. No one sits down and reads my book, which, by the way, is better than this stuff. I just want to say, my book is great. I mean, all my associates are gonna be pissed off about me saying that one, but it's true. It's true. It's true. I make sense. This doesn't. Who has gone up to the heaven and come down? Whose hands have gathered up the wind? I can tell you who's gone up to the heavens and come down. Me. I've gone up to the heavens and come down. Like, literally, I have. And so has most people sat in a bloody plane. But let's carry on. Whose hands have gathered up the wind? I don't know. Who has wrapped up water in a cloak? Water's in a cloak. I don't know. Who established all the ends of the earth? I don't know. What is his name? Or what is the name of his son? Surely you know. Nah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So the argument I'm guessing here is saying that this is God, right? Who's done all these things. And his son is Jesus. Now, someone could say, actually, no, this isn't God. This is talking about someone else. And it's just some false. But again, like, this is... it's just not like convincing to me. Like, I mean, you can read the full chapter if you want. I mean, the saying of Agur, son of Jakeh, an inspired utterance. Okay, so maybe it's Agur, the son of Jakeh, we're talking about. Let me see, actually. Right. The saying of Agur. Oh, gosh. Surely I am not brute, not a man. I do not have. Wait, I am wary of God, but I can prevail. Surely I am only a brute, not a man. I do not have human understanding. I have not learned wisdom, nor have I attained to the knowledge of the Holy One, who has gone up to the heavens and come down, whose hands have gathered up the wind, who has wrapped up the waters in a cloak, who has established all the ends of the earth. What is his name, and what is the name of his son? Surely you know. I don't know. I mean, like, it's not when you read in this. It's not even that. It's not even like even as it was better without like reading the before bit. Every word of God is flawless. He's a shield to those who take refuge in him. Do not add to his words, or he will rebuke you and prove you a lie. I mean, someone's adding by saying the angel of the Lord is actually Jesus. I mean, technically, if you, I mean, I'm just saying technically speaking, guys. I'm directing to the Christians here. Technically speaking, you should say you worship the angel of the Lord. If your argument is that they used to worship the angel of the Lord and saw him as God, you're making an inference. But technically it's an addition. Technically, two things I ask of you, Lord: do not refuse me before I die. Keep falsehood and lies from me. Give me neither poverty nor riches, but give me only my daily bread. Otherwise, I may have too much and disown you, and say, "Who is the Lord?" Or I may become poor and steal, and so dishonor the name of my. That's a nice way of looking at. Do not slander the servants. Blah blah blah. Okay, yeah. Again, it's not. I'm sorry. It's just not. It's not as. It's not compelling in the slightest. What was that? That was Proverbs 34. I mean, I would have liked. I just find it interesting. Remember, like when we were having like the big long stuff. Why couldn't you specify that? Like you specify this one. It's like the bits that you can like have the whole story without it detracting from your argument. You give me the whole thing. The bits that kind of do detract from your argument, you give me the specific verse. You get what I'm saying? And it's pissing me off. It's really pissing me off. Let's go to Leviticus now. And I think, oops, and that will be it, right? And then we can soundly invoke the curse of God, I guess. I don't know. Oh gosh. Okay, this is long. So I mean, typically, right? So you can see this is long, and as we've kind of established, typically when it's longer, there's just a bunch of fluff. So let's try to okay. Okay, I've understood. They're talking about sin offering. So this is about sin offering, right? So the sin offering, but we will read this because this is actually an important theological thing for Christians, and I do apologize because it is boring, but let's go for it. The Lord said to Moses, "Say to the Israelites, when anyone sins unintentionally and does what is forbidden in any of the Lord's commands, if the anointed priest sins, bringing guilt on the people, he must bring to the Lord a young bull without defects as a sin offering for the sin he has committed. He is to present the bull at the entrance of the tent of meeting before the Lord." Okay, yeah, I don't care about the details. The priest shall then put the same blood of the, I don't care about the details. The point here is he's killing for his sins. For whole Israel community sins unintentionally, does what is forbidden in any of the Lord's commands, even though the community is aware of the matter, then he realizes their guilt and they sin they commit becomes known, blah 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 blah. The elders of the community are to lay their hands on the bull's head. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, the head bull, blah blah blah. Right, this is just sacrifice when the leader sins. Okay, if any member. Okay, so the argument here: if someone brings a lamb as a sin offering, they are to bring a female without defect. They are to lay their hands. Okay, so the argument here is basically the religion of the Jews. You have this whole sacrifice thing where you sacrifice the animal, you butcher the animal for your sins, and by killing the animal you get the sins. And the argument obviously in Christian theology is Jesus is the Lamb of God. Obviously it's kind of contradictory in a way, because I just read here if someone brings a lamb as their sin offering, they are to bring a female without defect. I wasn't sure Jesus was a female. Maybe he was transsexual. I don't know. He was trans. I don't know. But that's their argument, and therefore the idea that Jesus dies for your sins is completely in accordance with Jewish whatever, because Jesus died. You know, the problem is obviously, and I will point this problem out. The problem is, you know, it's not that strong of an argument, because in the Jewish religion you slaughter, but who's slaughtering? The Jews are slaughtering for their sins to be forgiven. In Christian theologies, what happens is the Romans crucify while they blame the Jews. This is probably why they have to blame the Jews. You know, but if you say the Romans killed him, then the Jews didn't kill him. So, you know, how does it clean them of their sins? Or you say it's because humans killed Jesus. It's really not. I think it's somewhat farcical, but that's their argument. And yeah, we have now gone through pretty much all of this, and we've not found it convincing. We're not convinced of Christianity. I think it's a bit of a joke, actually. So that's the situation. Now, I do want to say this because I was sent this same image by two people. Let me make sure it was the same image, actually. I was sent one by someone. I mean, to be fair, these are polite people. They're nice. They're nice to talk to. But I was sent one by a convert to Christianity. I understand that. He's converted to Christianity. Of course he's going to send it, right? And I was sent it also by, let me make sure it's the same one. Yep, it's the same image. By this guy who I've known, well, who's known of me, and I knew him many years ago, like over a decade ago, who's an ex-Muslim. I mean, the Christian guy's also an ex-Muslim. And he's sending me, and his thing is he's not Christian. And I remember I point this out to him, and I'm like, you know, yeah, I'll just read. I'm not gonna like put the messages on screen. Okay, that's nice. I'm not gonna put the message on screen because that would be impolite, and it wouldn't be right. But you know, especially because, you know, whatever. But I will read my responses. he's like, he sends it, and he's like, here's a list of here's like some of the list of prophecies, and I say you'd have to actually read these. But again, the debate isn't that Christianity, the debate isn't that again, the debate isn't that Christians read Jesus' interviews. Okay, but again, yeah, so it's part of a longer discussion we're having. But I said, but again, the debate isn't that Christians read Jesus' interviews. The debate is what was the intention of the text. These are two different issues. Why did I say Jesus read these into? That's poorly worded. I was arguing in two chats, so of course my language is not good, but whatever. Yeah, I'm not a good speaker sometimes. These are two different issues. And then I say, and since the Jewish law enters the Gentile world via Christians, it's not surprising that the Christian understanding won amongst the Gentiles. So my point is that, yeah, people, we're really going to have to argue about how to interpret these things. And then he goes on about there's good evidence of the reliability of the Gospels, because the Gospels don't fully align with each, blah 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 blah, but whatever. And I say you're jumping around. I'm saying the Christian interpretation of the Tanakh is not authoritative. I'm not discussing the Gospels. The Gospels are stories about Jesus written after Jesus' life. You have not established that the interpretation is the necessary conclusion, or even the most likely conclusion yet. Take Jesus will save Israel. So, I mean, I did look at that. Where is that? Messiah saves Israel, that one. I say, did he? Nope. Unless you reinterpret save. Right? And that's the point, right? Jesus doesn't save anyone. Did we even go over that? I can't remember. But, the claim that the gospel writers may have written the gospel around their interpretation over prophecies isn't a claim that it's unreliable, only that they may have put emphasis on certain things and or added some details. I don't know why you're so hung on Christianity. It's a bit odd since you're not Christian. So I say, and he says, and this is the point I wanted to get to. He says, I just think that it's created the greatest civilization. A lot of great things today, art, literature, science, or our rights, etc., are downstream from Christianity. I don't have strong views on either, where I'm happy to change my opinion. And I say liberalism has created the greatest civilization, not Christianity. This is what I'm saying, right? Blah, blah, blah. And then he says liberalism came from Christianity. Obviously, this is a problem. Now, I want to get to this key, right? This is what I want to discuss now. Since this video is so long anyways, I think it's an important point. So there is an argument, and some Christians push it as well, that the reason you should believe in Christianity is not necessarily because of these kind of arguments, which are not really that good, or because of proof or evidence, but the reason you should believe in Christianity is that what they call Western civilization, what is Western civilization is debatable, but modern secular liberal society, should we call it, is the result of Christianity. So all that we have today if you're in, let's say, England, if you're in, let's say, America, if you're in Canada, if you're in the developed countries, which by and large are Christian countries, is the result of Christianity. And therefore, Christianity has produced this, so there must be something good about it, and we must therefore cling to it, right? This is the argument. Now, the problem is, who was the author of that book? Oh, Gibbons, right? That's what it is, right? The problem with this argument is, let's put ourselves into the past. Let's say we are around during the Roman heyday, the Roman Empire, the great Roman Empire, right? They were pagans during their great period. Once they adopt Christianity, well, they're already in their decline before Christianity, but Christianity doesn't really save them from the decline. You can argue that when Constantine embraces Christianity, it's the immediate effects are not like negative. Like Gibbons in his History of Rome, right? He argues, I believe, that 1776, by the way, it was published. But his argument is that one of the things that led to the decline and destruction of the Roman Empire was that it embraced Christianity. Now, that is something that modern historians won't really agree with. But if you look at the Roman Empire, if you were around in its heyday and you come across these Christians saying, Jesus is the Lord and whatnot, then would you counter it and say, we have the greatest empire and civilization known to human history? There's been never a civilization as great as ours, and that would have been right, by the way. Well, from what we know of history, we don't know. Maybe there was a greater civilization, I don't know, 200,000 years ago, we don't know. Or maybe, there's some alien civilization which is great, I don't know. But the point would stand, right? You could say that. But would that be a valid rejection of Christianity according to Christians? No, right? Would that be a valid argument for paganism? Of course not. It'd be silly, right? Now let's flip it here. And some would say that if it wasn't for the embracing of, because if we follow this argument, the logic of the argument, let's just assume that liberalism and all these things that we have are downstream from Christianity, but Christianity is downstream from the Roman acceptance of Christianity, or Constantine becoming Christian and whatnot, right? So if we use the argument back then, we wouldn't have had Christianity. So there's the flaw there, right? But let's do this another way. Let's talk about Islam now. Let's say you were around 1,000 years ago, 1,000 years ago today. What is the greatest empire that exists at the time? It's the Islamic Empire. It's not Christian Europe, right? It's the Islamic Empire. Do you say, this is the greatest empire. We are part of the greatest empire. So let us come and let us accept that this is the truth from God. No, right? and now think about this, right? Right. And the funny thing about this argument that they're making is that it's not even completely true. At least in the case of, let's say, the Islamic Empire, you could make the argument that the conquest, the Futuhat, were a direct consequence of the Islamic commands of jihad, right? Direct, right? It's hard to make the argument that liberalism is a direct consequence of Christianity, right? If you look at the Renaissance figures, right, they're very they're anti-Catholic. That is what they're universally. They're almost always anti-Catholic. Machiavelli hates Catholicism, right? The Protestant thinkers, John Locke was a Protestant, wasn't he? I'm sure he was Protestant. Yeah, he did not like Catholicism. A lot of them didn't like Jews either, right? But they have this universal dislike of Catholicism. And yes, it is true. It is true that you have an interpretation come out of the Protestant tradition, which, which comes out of a theological discussion about, you own what you make, and if you make things, therefore you own them, like God owns what he created, and we are a bit like miniature gods. We're creating God's image, so when we make something, we own it, and blah blah blah. And from that you have these ideas and whatnot, and from all of these discussions you get a certain worldview that emerges, right? By the way, that wasn't the only version. That wasn't the only thing. I think Locke does argue against, I can't remember the other guy, who has this idea that, God created Adam, and Adam had children, and we all inherit things differently. We're not equal, right? We don't have an equal right to interpret the text. We don't have by the way, equal right to interpret text, very Protestant, right? And if you're Catholic, that's not good, is it? But the point I'm making is these are interpretations that yes come out, that yes Christians proposes, but the truth of the modern world is not that it is the necessary consequence of Christianity, right? It is a consequence of of multiple factors. One of those factors is Christianity. One of those factors is Islam. One of those factors is paganism. One of those factors is Judaism. One of those factors is, some random guy scratched his ass one day and someone saw it and was disturbed and they did something. Right? There's a lot of things that go into the modern day, which, yes, if you change them, you would have a different outcome. But we just don't know if that outcome would have been better or worse. And you cannot then pick one of these and say, well, this is true because of it. Like, it's silly. It's asinine. It's sheepish. It's just not the way serious people think about the world. It's not the way anyone sensible would think about the world. Right? If we are to push away liberalism in pursuit of this Christianity or whatnot, we will lose. Right? Let's be honest. Let's be realistic here. Right? What does Christianity really have to offer us? Nothing. Right? Our values, are not actually based on Christianity. People say, yes, they are. They're influenced, just like they're influenced by other traditions and whatnot. And the bottom line is, I think the future is with the Chinese, right? That's how things are going. And the reason it's going that way is because in the West, right, in Europe, in America, you have a tendency of unserious people wanting to push their religious doctrine instead of pushing empirical facts, right? Whether it's Christians, whether it's Muslims, whether it's ethno-nationalists, that's the reality. Whereas in China, they don't care. Yeah, they want to push a communist thing. Yeah, they're an authoritarian regime. Yeah, they have problems. But they're not concerned about pushing a myth a religious myth. Yes, they push myths, but they don't push religious myths. And that's important. I think we're going to really destroy ourselves if we want to push this. And, arguably, maybe, in 100 years, we'll see a real decline in Europe and in America because of this religious stuff, because of this argument. We see it now with, the Christian nationalists who have more power than they ever have in, let's say, America. And, well, okay, ever is maybe an exaggeration, but in recent history, let's say, and we see there's a real decline. I mean, you can sit there and you can be like a Trump fanboy and you can say, he's great. I mean, Trump doesn't believe in Christianity, but, he's empowered Christian nationalist. You can say he's great, he's fantastic, but the bottom line of it is this, he has not, he's made things more expensive. He's really shattering the post-World War consensus, and it doesn't seem like there's any strategic advantage here. Maybe he can get a better deal for some of the ingrates in America, but it doesn't look good. I mean, we have a guy who doesn't have the balls to invade Iran, but he wants to start a war with Iran and mess up supplies of oil. And I mean, as long as the stock market goes up, this will continue. And the stock market goes up in part due to certain asinine concepts that have become popular over the last 20 or so years, and there's a lot of shenanigans that go on, but we'll see. I mean, I don't think it's good. I don't think any of it's good, right? We'll see. But this is the point. You cannot make an argument that we should have some reverence for Christianity because coincidentally it resulted in Europe, just in Europe, and just in Western Europe, right, in a society that was profitable, and therefore we should fix ourselves into that, right? If Christianity was the cause, why not Ethiopia, right? Why not these places? Why is it a very specific place in Europe with a very specific history? And why is it that, when you actually bother reading some of the stuff, it's not clear that, if anything, like if you look at the Enlightenment figures, a lot of them, the ones which weren't Protestant, that is to say, were very anti-Christian, right? Um, Machiavelli is anti-Christian, right? He doesn't like it, right? Gibbons, Gibbons is not really a big figure, but I just thought it's interesting because his history of Rome, which is considered wrong, but I don't care, right? It's just a point. Even like some of them have a more positive view of Islam than they do of Christianity. And someone can sit here and they can say, well, one of the reasons we have a lot of the classical texts preserved is because of the Christian monks. Yeah, you're right. But they were biased in what text they chose, right? And was that a good thing or bad thing? I mean, it's nice that they preserved something. It's nice that, the monasteries did something, right? But then someone could equally say, well, what about the other text that was preserved through the Islamic empire? Are we going to now say, well, therefore Islam is... Come on, it's silly. Anyways, that's it. It's been a while. I went on a bit of a tangent there. But yeah, this is just silly and nonsense. And one day, and I will be completely frank, we're going to celebrate the end of Christianity. We're going to celebrate it. And that's what we're working towards, and we will get there, inshallah, and we will get there. Okay.